Chapter 856. Yang Yao was obviously scared out of his wits. Beads of sweat dripped down from his forehead, and his eyes revealed a frightened look. After a long time, Yang Yao said, "I'll go back first. I also need to go back to calm down. Too many things have happened today, and my brain can't process it all." Sure Yu was the same. He had to go back and sort out his thoughts. Snatching a strange flame could cause such a thing to happen. It was really depressing. The two groups of people went back to their own homes to look for their mothers. However, Mu Xinhai was searching for Wuxia Empire in the land of northern Liang. After asking around, he quickly found Wuxia Empire. When he saw Wuxia Empire for the first time, he was indeed shocked. Was this really an empire? The area it occupied was actually so large, and the outer city walls were actually hundreds of feet high. What kind of scourge and ferocious beast were they guarding against? Compared to his Yuanyang mansion, it was really nothing. This was a true empire. Mu Xinhai, who was standing in the void, felt very emotional. He even had an idea to simply take this place down and replace it. This type of grandeur was almost comparable to Broken Meridian's sect and deity institution. The white-armored warrior standing on the city wall looked into the darkness. Mu Xinhai was hidden in the black clothes, but he could still feel the guards on the city wall looking at him. It was an illusion. How is it possible for a small guard to discover my presence? What a great Wuxia empire. I, Mu Xinhai, have taken a liking to it. Wait for me to go back and make some preparations. Then, I will let you all witness the strength of Yuanyang Manor. He wanted to show the entire northern region the true strength of Yuanyang Prefecture. Just wait. Mu Xinhai disappeared into the night. However, this imperial guard also reported the news to Lai Gu, and very quickly, the news reached Lai Gu's ears. Right now, Lai Gu was currently listening to the moonlight playing the zither, and there were even 3 lovely wives serving him by his side. He was simply a big winner in life. To Lai Gu, this kind of life was too comfortable. Every day, he would take a walk in the city with his wife, and at night, he would listen to Yu Hua's music. This kind of life was too enjoyable. I didn't expect this king to have such luck with women. It's simply unimaginable. Lai Gu received the news very quickly and started sizing up the surroundings by himself. Yue Hua seemed to feel it too. Her hands stopped moving. "Honey, what happened?" A slightly more powerful fellow is sizing up Voidless Empire." Lai Gu said faintly. Actually, such a thing would happen after a period of time, but they only dared to observe from afar and did not dare to take any action. All of them were cowards. However, I still have to report to his honor. Lai Gu used sound transmission to inform Yi Hua that a person had just appeared, and after sizing up Yi Hua, the person left. When Yi Hua received the news, he could roughly guess what was going on. It should be those people from Yuanyang Palace. He had killed 2 of their Dodi. Moreover, he had told them the address. If no one came, he would really disappoint this venerable self. Looking at the situation, the attack from Yuanyang Palace is about to start. I am really looking forward to it. I hope that Yuanyang Palace will be able to do something. He didn't want to be annihilated by the Blood Tribe sisters like last time. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate. After walking into the bedroom, Yi Hua shouted out, "Yu Tong! Stop shouting. Yu Tong won't come over to help you. You can choose which bed you want to sleep on." Qingya sat on the bed and seemed to be planning to rest. She was wearing light pajamas, and that exquisite curve of hers was something that Yi Hua would never get tired of looking at 100 times. Yi Hua walked towards Qingya with a stern face, looking as if he was going to beat someone up. Qingya pouted her mouth. "What are you trying to do? If you dare to beat me up, I will immediately go and seek refuge with my son." Yi Hua couldn't hold it in anymore and laughed lightly. "Beat you up? How can I bear to do that?" Qingya poked Yi Hua petulantly. This bastard always likes to scare people. Yi Hua immediately hugged onto Qingya and carried her on his shoulders. "Yi Hua! What are you doing? Put me down." Qingya's face immediately turned red. "Don't you know what my husband is thinking? This guy is too overbearing." Yi Hua didn't pay attention to Qingya at all. While carrying Qingya on his shoulders, he walked towards Dong Huang Baiji's room. Yi Hua could be seen carrying 2 super beauties on his shoulders as he walked towards Qing Yutong's room. Just when Yi Hua opened the door, Qing Yutong called out with a smile, "Brother-in-law, everything is ready, look, Yihua looked to the side. What kind of item is this? It seems a bit exciting. Qing Yutong. You better be careful in the future. Qingya saw it too, and her face turned red. This little sister of mine is simply unparalleled. Donghuang Baiji also shouted out, Yihua, if you dare to do that, I will ignore you. Your Majesty, at the very least, you are someone who poses a high threat. If you act like this, I feel that you are acting coquettishly. After finished speaking, Yihua walked towards the bed. Qing Yutong closed the door, and Daji continued to stand guard outside. Not long later, moaning sounds could be heard coming from within the room. I really envy the madams. On the other side, Mu Xinhai returned to Yuanyang Manor. Yuanyang Manor was indeed a manor, but it wasn't within the empire. Instead, it was located in a sparsely populated forest. Yuanyang Manor was indeed rather big, but compared to Wuxia Empire, it was simply many levels lower. However, this manor was indeed very big. After all, there were over 1 million disciples training in this manor. Without a huge place, how could it be possible for so many people to live in this manor? Walking into his own territory, all of the disciples had to obediently greet Yihua as manor master. Mu Xinhai walked into his own palace and sat on the main seat at the center of the palace while pondering. A scene couldn't help but appear in his mind. Wuxia Empire has become mine. It is time for me to let everyone witness the strength of Yuanyang Manor. In the eyes of Yuanyang Manor, you are nothing. Even if I sacrifice 2 of my protectors, I will still be able to support the entire Yuanyang Manor because I am a Dozun. As a powerful Dozun, what is it to take down a small city? Looks like there is a need for me to call some people over to have some fun and let them see my strength. Mu Xinhai immediately sent out the invitations and then prepared for the matters regarding the battle. When the disciples realized that the manor master had the intention to start the battle, they felt that it was inconceivable. However, they were still very excited in their hearts. I can finally start the battle. Soldiers are trained for a day, and now is the best time to start the battle. Very quickly, it was the second day. Mu Xinhai was preparing to welcome the 2 big shots. The 2 of them were at the peak of the Dodi realm. Under my invitation, the 2 of them will definitely listen to me. After all, their strength is right there. Sitting on the chair that was specially used by the manor master, Mu Xinhai was already rubbing his palms together. After preparing for a few more days, I will be able to set off. I am really curious about what the people in the city will think when I bring them to the entrance. Will they directly open the door and surrender? I am really curious. That kind of scene will definitely be very exciting. End of this chapter. Chapter 857. Venomous Serpent Sect Master, Shi, has arrived. Broken Moon Valley Master Xiangli has arrived. 2 middle-aged men walked in with smiles on their faces, as if they didn't know that the Yuanyang Palace had lost 2 protectors. Greetings, Manor Lord. Xiang Liren greets the Manor Lord. This was the difference in strength. Even if it was just a little, he would still need to be respectful. This was a Dozun. At the south side of Aluo River, these 3 sects could be considered to be able to be brought to the stage, and they were just following the rules. Please take a seat. Shi and Xiang Liren sat on either side of him. Shi asked curiously, Manor Head, I see that your Yuanyang Manor is about to make a move. Are you going to attack something? What can we do for you? Xiang Liren asked with a faint smile, seemingly trying to curry favor. Mu Xinhai laughed. You must be joking. I invited you over this time just to watch a show. Xiang Liren and Shi were confused. Watch a show? It couldn't be that simple, right? Mu Xinhai gradually retracted his smile and said in a deep voice, 2 of my protectors were killed at Aluo River yesterday. What? What? Xiang Liren and Shi stood up abruptly, unable to believe what they had just heard. They were naturally aware of the strength of the 2 protectors from the Yuanyang mansion. They were both Dodi. Although their ranks were not high, they were still Dodi. How could he have died in a place like Aluo River? Right now, I only heard that the murderer is in Voidless Empire. Thus, I intend to go and take revenge. I will flatten the entire Voidless Empire. Mu Xinhai's body emitted a vast killing intent, and the 2 of them could sense this hatred. It didn't seem like he was lying, and there was no need to lie about such a thing. Academy Chief, What exactly happened? Shuri asked curiously. A Dodi died just like that? This was way too fake. Mu Xinhai didn't hide anything now. Yesterday, I sent them to the Aluo River to snatch the mystical fire. In the end, they encountered an even more powerful person and were killed. By the time I arrived, it was already too late. Is that person in Voidless Empire? Why haven't we heard of it before? Xiang Liren asked curiously. How could he recognize someone who could kill a Dodi? However, he had never heard of this Wuxia Empire. Mu Xinhai replied in a deep voice, I've never heard of it before, but I went to take a look yesterday. There's indeed such a place in northern Liang. A remote and desolate place like the land of northern Liang? Shuri chuckled with deep sarcasm. The land of northern Liang was indeed a remote and desolate place in the north, and some of the big sects looked down on it. In the beginning, Mu Xinhai also thought so, but when he saw Wuxia Empire, only then did he realize that Wuxia Empire is the real tycoon. Mansion Chief, have you thought about something? The one who killed the two protectors is also an expert of the Dozun class? Shuri reminded. After all, from the looks of it, Mu Xinhai wanted to drag the two of them over. However, if the other party was really strong, even Shuri wouldn't be able to handle it. How could Mu Xinhai not have thought of this? Don't worry, I even called Fan Jin. Mu Xinhai wasn't a fool. How could he not call for reinforcements? Fan Jin. Hearing these two names, the two of them were shocked once again. Mansion Chief, are you talking about that mysterious Fan Jin? Xiangli found it hard to believe. It was said that this Fan Jin had already reached the peak of the Dozun class, and he was only a small step away from the Jizun class. It had been a long time since he appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Today, he actually managed to invite Fan Jin over. How could they not be shocked? That's right. It is this mysterious Fan Jin. Mu Xinhai smiled slightly, appearing as though victory was already within his grasp. Shuri asked curiously, Mansion Chief, I heard that this Fan Jin is very difficult to invite. It is so difficult to even find him. How did you do it? Oh, I helped him once in the past. That's why I am asking him for a favor this time around. Mu Haixia did this as a form of insurance. She felt that it was necessary. After all, the other party had killed two Dodi, and his strength was definitely at the Dozun class. With Fan Jin around, they would definitely be able to suppress him. Hearing such certainty, the two of them were relieved. With Fan Jin taking action, there was basically no need to worry. Mansion Chief, have you investigated the guards of Wuxia Empire? Xiangli seemed to be more experienced. After all, this was just a precaution. Speaking of guards, Mu Xinhai recalled the guard from last night. That guard seemed to have taken a glance at him. That was definitely an accident, or perhaps it was a misconception. How could a guard possibly notice me? I am really thinking too much. You all can be at ease. How strong can the guards of an empire be? This time around, we will let those people from northern Liang see the consequences of angering my Yuanyang prefecture. We will kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Mu Xinhai was very arrogant. It seemed like he wanted to wipe out the entire Wuxia Empire. Xiangli and Shuri stood up, cupped their hands and said, Then we wish Mansion Chief a great victory. Thank you, the two of you. Men, bring the two esteemed guests to rest. Xiangli and Shuri walked out of the palace hall and followed a disciple to the living quarters. After the disciple left, the two of them sat on a chair and chatted softly. Why do I feel that this is so unreliable? Xiangli frowned slightly and said, Going to such a faraway place to attack for no reason at all. Isn't this a little too exaggerated? Shuri narrowed his eyes slightly and said, This is understandable. After all, two Dodi have died. Pulling everyone out to train is also to raise their fighting strength and also for revenge. But what does he mean by calling us over? I really don't understand. Shuri laughed softly and said, What else can he mean? He just wants to show off his strength in front of us. Look at him, he even called Fan Jin. Do you think we can call such a person? Sigh, I really have to give up. Why is he acting cool in front of us? If he goes and kicks a metal plate, it will be a good show. Xiangli casually said. Shuri smiled and shook his head after hearing that. If you can get it right, then your mouth will be opened. All of us will die. Xiangli hurriedly blew away this bad prediction. However, he did not expect that his prediction was indeed correct. Kicking a metal plate was painful. Getting injured was a small matter, but dying was the most important thing. Alright, let's not think too much. Just treat it as giving them some face and shocking the scene. Shi was quite open-minded. No matter how powerful the northern Liang land was, it was only so and could not be too powerful. Xiangli nodded and did not say anything else. 3 days passed very quickly. All the disciples of Yuanyang Manor were mobilized together, and the number of people had reached 1 million. These 1 million people were all elites, with the lowest being a rank 5 doja. As long as they attacked the city, these people would be like leeches. Over 1 million disciples boarded the battleships. In the sky there were 10 huge battleships. End of this chapter. Chapter 858. The size of these battleships was several times larger than the one from the Tianliang sect. Each battleship could seat 100,000 people. This time around, the Yuanyang mansion had mobilized 1 million people. It could be considered a large-scale operation. Such a situation had not occurred in the northern region for a long time. However, the news of the Yuanyang mansion moving out had spread during these few days. It had caused quite a commotion. Mobilizing so many people to attack an empire was like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. Perhaps, they felt that the Yuanyang mansion was displaying their strength. That was why they had created such a huge commotion. Even the Ren King prison and 3 Absolute Hall in Aluo knew about this news. Yang Yao and Shi Yu also planned to go and take a look. After all, this was a battle of the Yuanyang mansion. Although their strength was a little weaker, they were at the peak of the Do Zone class. It was possible for them to handle some small matters. The main point was that they could form a relationship with the Yuanyang mansion. It would be useful for their future development. The 10 battleships majestically headed to the north. Along the way, some smaller battleships joined in. This was also a form of respect. The battleship at the front was naturally Mu Xinhai's. He stood at the front of the battleship and looked down at the land. This feeling was very good for Mu Xinhai. It was as if he could cover the sky with his hand. Do Zun. If he could step into the ranks of the Ji Zun, he would also be able to become a godlike existence. How happy would that be? In a while, he would be able to display his glory in the northern region. He would let everyone see the consequences of offending the Yuanyang mansion. Even a Do Zun would have to kneel before him. Looking at these factions in the northern region, all of them were following behind him. Only a person as strong as him was worthy of such support. At this moment, Mu Xinhai was filled with pride. It was as if he could already see the Wushu Empire falling under his feet. He did not even need to sacrifice a single person. Yang Yao and Shi Yu were also behind the large group. They had merely driven a small battleship over as a gesture. After all, both parties had suffered heavy losses a few days ago. They were currently recuperating. Looks like the Yuanyang mansion is getting serious this time. Yang Yao and Shi Yu stood on the deck and looked at the enormous battleship. They were extremely envious. This was the aura of a large sect. However, others had 10 such battleships. As for them, they only had 1. Moreover, they were unwilling to use it for fear of destroying it. Yang Yao took a deep breath. Yeah, I haven't seen such a battle for many years. I feel that Wushu Empire is finished. With the appearance of a Do Zun, he will definitely flatten it. It was as if you could already see the flames of gunpowder burning in Voidless Empire. This was going to be a perfect massacre. Feast of Death. In Voidless Empire, this morning was the same as usual. Everyone woke up from their dreams and began their busy day. However, after seeing such a flourishing city, no matter how tired I am, it will be worth it. I must buy a house. Right now, Lai Gu was patrolling the city gate tower as usual, and he was still wearing his pajamas. He was yawning non-stop, seeming like he didn't sleep well. With 4 such beautiful wives, it would be strange if he could sleep well. Lai Gu let out a sigh of relief. Yu Hua is really becoming more and more sensible. This feels great. Just when Lai Gu was standing on top of the city wall and reminiscing, a few black dots appeared on the horizon. Lai Gu thought that his eyesight was blurred and rubbed his eyes with all his might. A lot of black spots had indeed appeared in his eyes. F***ck me. Lai Gu couldn't help but curse inwardly, and his entire body was trembling. This was not a trembling of fear, but of excitement. Something big had happened. This is too great. Don't make a sound, don't tell anyone to listen, I will deal with this group of people myself. At this time, His Honor shouldn't have woken up yet. As a qualified subordinate, it is perfectly normal for me to help His Honor with His Honor's worries. There is no need for me to disturb His Honor for such a small matter. If Yi Hua were to find out about this, he would definitely stew Lai Gu. I, the Supreme Overlord, have painstakingly put in so much effort just to create a big scene, and yet, I actually didn't come to report to you. All of the white-armored warriors did not have the slightest bit of extreme reaction, and they appeared to be very ordinary. Even the city gate was still open. This guy is simply not putting these people in his eyes at all. Meanwhile, on the battleship, when these people saw the magnificent voidless empire, they were all stupefied. Is this really an empire and not some big sect? The height of that city wall is too exaggerated, right? And that color, are you afraid that others won't know that you are rich? Xiang Liren and Shi Yi were also stupefied. They seemed to have already understood why Mu Xinhai mobilized so many people. From the looks of it, Yi Hua has taken a fancy to this city and wants to take it for himself. It is a pity that Mu Xinhai discovered it first. If I was the one who discovered it first, I would have been able to secretly take it down. Yang Yao and Shi Yu were also stupefied. This was the first time they had seen such an empire, and it simply refreshed their understanding of empires. This is too spectacular. This is the first time I have seen something like this. Shi Yu was shocked to the point that she couldn't even describe it with words. That slightly opened mouth, that astonished gaze, and that trembling pair of hands, it was as if she wanted to hug the entire voidless empire into her embrace. Although Yang Yao didn't say anything, greed could still be seen in his eyes. If I was the one who discovered this place first, I might have already taken it down. An evil smile appeared on the corner of Mu Xinhai's mouth. Today, this place shall belong to my Yuanyang palace, and no one shall even think of touching it. Whoever dares to touch it shall die. As the battleship advanced forward, it arrived at a place not far away from Voidless Empire and stopped. Mu Xinhai saw a strange man. He seemed to be wearing a thin robe, and he was standing on top of the city wall and looking at the city. Why is that hairstyle so strange, and it is even split in the middle? That man has a dazed expression on his face. I reckon that he was just scared silly by Mu Xinhai's troops. Some ants sure have a lot of expressions on their faces. It is best if they kneel down and submit, then open the city gate. The city gate is actually open. Mu Xinhai couldn't help but laugh out loud. So it turns out that they were all scared silly, to the point that they even forgot to close the city gate. What a bunch of trash. Xiang Liren and Shi Yi, who were standing behind Mu Xinhai, were very puzzled as well. It can't be that these people were scared silly, right? Be careful, it might be a trap. Xiang Liren reminded. Mu Xinhai waved his hand. They are just a bunch of clowns, there is no need to be afraid. Men, come. Go over and greet them. A disciple could be seen respectfully receiving the order, and very quickly, the disciple landed in front of the city gate. Standing on top of the city gate gave one a feeling, but only when one was standing below the city gate did one realize just how tall the city gate was. Listen up. You guys have already been surrounded. Quickly put down the weapons in your hands, if not. Before the disciple could finish speaking, his expression became strange, and his face seemed to have become red. Mu Haixia slightly wrinkled his brows. Could it be that these people dare to kill my disciple? Do they not want to live anymore? When the time comes, don't blame me for massacring the entire city. The commoners inside the city will definitely be scared to the point that they are trembling. However, within the city, all of the commoners were walking back and forth on the streets. They didn't put the matter to heart at all, and they were even laughing and discussing with each other. End of chapter. Chapter 859. He saw an old man sitting in a tea stall, talking quietly. Sigh. Another bunch of people who have come to die. Yeah, I don't know what these people are thinking. Do they have nothing better to do? What else can they think? They probably think that our voidless empire is easy to bully. That's right, but they never expected to bump into an iron plate this time. As soon as he said that, everyone in the tea stall laughed. Even though the city gates were still open, there were still people passing by. They didn't care about what was happening outside at all. This was also the trust that the people had towards Wuxia Empire. They believed that Wuxia Empire was powerful, and this was something that Yi Hua did very well. A powerful empire needed to let the masses have this kind of consciousness. If even the masses thought that you were incapable, then you wouldn't be able to survive. At this moment, Mu Xinhai's expression gradually turned solemn as he looked at the disciples who were gradually walking back. Palace Lord. Save, save. Before the disciple could finish his words. Bang! His entire body suddenly exploded, and a bewitching bloody mist blossomed in the air, shocking everyone. Mu Xinhai wasn't able to adapt to this. Initially, he didn't think that he would need to sacrifice a single person to conquer Voidless Empire. Now, one of them had died before they even started. Wasn't this the same as slapping his own face? Letting others see him as a joke? Lai Gu, who was standing on top of the city wall, grinned, then shouted towards the other side. The people on the other side, listen up. You are already surrounded by death. To your right is the spectator stand. If you don't want to die, you can stand there. I'll treat you as a spectator. After finished speaking, Lai Gu waved his hand and 3 big words appeared. In the spectator stands. Lai Gu understood his honor's intention. For something like this to happen, the outcome would definitely be that all of them would be exterminated. However, the news of all of them being exterminated had to be brought out by someone. Therefore, Lai Gu still had to keep some of them alive. However, they couldn't leave him alive after the fight. They had to shout now. Because only smart people would do smart things. Fools would only be accompanied by death. Lai Gu's way of doing things made Mu Xinhai a bit surprised. This person. How audacious of him. To actually say such words, it seems like you don't know how powerful I am. To actually set up a spectator stand at the side, why don't you just call it a life-saving stand? This is simply an insult to me. Up until now, he hadn't seen an army gathering. This kind of empire was only a... Xiang Liren and Shi quietly retreated a few steps. What should we do? Xiang Liren was a little uncertain. This voidless empire was very strange, and he was really afraid that Mu Xinhai had kicked a metal plate. If that happened, he would be done for. Shi said softly, don't worry. Didn't the prefecture master say that there's still Fan Jin? As long as there's a Ji Zun here, we'll be safe. As long as there isn't a supreme being, what if there is a supreme being? Do we have to die with him? Xiang Liren started to waver. His intuition told him not to stand there, but to stand in the audience seats. Shi asked doubtfully, what's wrong with you today? Why are you so paranoid? Up until now, that Fan Jin still hasn't appeared. What if he doesn't appear? How do you know if he's telling the truth or not? Is Fan Jin really that easy to invite? Don't tell me you want to go to the audience over there, Shi said in a low voice. Xiang Liren didn't say anything. He was making a decision in his heart. Should he go or not? This feeling was like making a choice for his life. Which side should he listen to? It wasn't just Xiang Liren and Shi. Yang Yao and Shi Yu were the same. Yang Yao, I don't think we should get involved in this mess. Shi Yu felt a bit uneasy. Just a moment ago that disciple exploded just like that, and at that moment, Shi Yu felt that his entire body wasn't feeling good. Doing something like that is undoubtedly provoking Yuanyang manner. Today's slaughter was unavoidable. As for the massacre at the beginning, to hell with it. He didn't even know what method he used to kill a disciple, and he was still thinking of slaughtering them. If he were to be slaughtered later, he would suffer a calamity as well. Therefore, right now, other people have given me a chance to survive, should I grab it or not? That was the real problem. However, Yang Yao didn't have the same thoughts as Shi Yu. He said lightly, if you want to go, no one will stop you. Yang Yao still wanted to ride on Yuanyang Prefecture's coattails. This was also a gamble that Yuanyang Prefecture would win. As long as Yuanyang Prefecture won, he would also get some benefits. Shi Yu was currently thinking frantically. That night, that man killed 2 Dodi, he was definitely a Dozun. Moreover, this Mu Xinhai was also a Dozun. If they were to fight, it would be difficult to predict the victor. This kind of battle was not something that a Dozong like him could participate in. Thus, he had to make his choice as soon as possible. However, Shi Yu was still hesitating right now, because he didn't know if his choice was right or not. Lai Gu, who was standing on top of the city wall, was a little impatient. All of you are not afraid of death. I will give you all another 10 seconds. Lai Gu shouted out. After Mu Xinhai heard what Lai Gu said, he was a little puzzled. What the hell is 10 seconds? Lai Gu began counting down. 10, 9, 8. Over 1 million people were listening to Lai Gu's countdown, but only 2 people were able to hear it. And that was Xiang Liren and Shi Yu. They knew that the other party was giving them one last chance, forcing them to make a choice. 3, 2. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu almost wanted to curse out. Just now, I clearly counted to 8. Why did it suddenly jump to 2? Shameless. Mu Xinhai shouted out towards Lai Gu. Stop shouting. Since no one is going to go, why don't we fight to our heart's content and let you all know how powerful my Yuanyang prefecture is? Wait till I flatten your Wuxia empire. I will let you all kneel in front of me and count down your lives. However, when Lai Gu counted to 1, 2 figures could be seen flying out from the huge group. Mu Xinhai sensed it, and his expression instantly darkened. I feel that my face is very painful. These 2 bastards. Why didn't you come out earlier? Why did you only come out after I shouted out? Aren't you 2 slapping my face? I want to see who it is. After I get rid of Wuxia Empire, I will get rid of the 2 of you. When Mu Xinhai saw that the person who left was Xiang Liren, he felt very uncomfortable. This is the person that I called over. And now he actually ran out. Are you King sick? Don't you know my strength? To actually choose to run to the spectator stand to save his life. As for the other person, Mu Xinhai forgot who he is. He is just a small character. Even if he is just a small character, I will still kill you all later on. Towards Xiang Liren and Shi Yu running away, everyone let out mocking laughter. These 2 trash were actually scared away by the other party. This is truly embarrassing. However, what everyone did not know was that Xiang Liren and Shi Yu had made a wise choice. When Shi Yu saw that Xiang Liren actually ran away, he felt helpless in his heart. No matter what, you have the strength of a peak Emperor Do, and you were actually scared away. If this matter were to spread out, how are you going to raise your head? Your broken Moon Valley will become a joke. End of this chapter. Chapter 860. Yang Yao also sighed softly. This Shi Yu was still too young and couldn't withstand a scare. The other party had merely shouted a number, yet he had been frightened away. That valley chief was also the same. His strength at the peak of the Do D-class was also frightened. I'm really impressed. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu stood alone on the side, accepting everyone's mockery. Of course they didn't feel good. But since he had already escaped, he had to accept the consequences. Especially when they saw Mu Xinhai's eyes, Xiang Liren and Shi Yu could feel that he was planning to kill the 2 of them. Therefore, right now, they could only hope that Voidless Empire would be able to withstand the damage. When Lai Gu saw 2 people flying out, he was a little shocked because these 2 people were very smart. However, there were over 1 million people here, and there were only 2 smart people. The ratio was frighteningly low. The people of the Kangluo continent were indeed fools. Praise should be given. Who are the 2 of you? You have made the most glorious choice in your life. You will be proud of this. Along with Lai Gu's words, Xiang Liren and Shi Yu could no longer laugh. Your Voidless Empire had better bring out some of your strength. At the very least, close the city gate. Do the Emperor know that you all are so careless? Mu Xinhai narrowed his eyes slightly. In the face of such humiliation, he had to use a battle to redeem himself. Otherwise, even if his army was defeated, it would still be a humiliation that could not be washed away. You all dare to fight. Mu Xinhai shouted towards Lai Gu. F***ck. There's actually someone who dares to challenge this king. How daring. However, just when Lai Gu was about to reply, he actually heard the sound of footsteps coming from the stairs, and his expression immediately turned bad. Someone is coming. Who is it? Who dares to snatch this king's chance to act cool? When Mu Xinhai saw that the other side's commander was panicking, he immediately laughed out loud. Haha. That's all. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu both had the heart to die. Big brother. What kind of expression is that? Can you change to a more confident expression? Even if it's just for show, please. Can't you give us a little more confidence? Do you know how much courage it took for us to rush out? Don't lie to us. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu looked at Mu Xinhai, only to find that he was grinning at them. My God! Don't play with us like this. Where did your imposing manner go just now? Could you please reveal a bit more? Li Gu didn't care about it at all. Listening to that slight footstep sound, who is it? If it were those underlings, they would definitely listen to him and not disturb him. But if it was one of the 7 deadly sins, then it was hard to say. Hearing the slight footsteps, Li Gu dared to conclude that the person walking in front of him was a female. Of the 7 deadly sins, Yi Zizi and Brett were both female. Brett took care of absolute heaven every day, so how could she have the time to fool around outside? Please don't let it be Yi Zizi. God bless me. Buddha bless me. Big bone dragon, what are you doing? Hearing that familiar voice, Li Gu felt despair. When this expression fell into the eyes of the million people, they immediately burst into laughter. This was the expression of a person who was about to die. Not only was Li Gu in despair, Xiang Liren and Shi Yu were also in despair. This kind of despair did not have any seasoning added to it. It was the original taste. Wow, there are so many people, Yi Zizi exclaimed while covering her mouth. Li Gu ran to Yi Zizi's side, then pushed Yi Zizi down the stairs. Zizi, be good, it is still early, quickly go back and sleep. Yi Zizi pursed her lips. All right, I will go and wake his honor up. Li Gu. Zizi, are we brothers? Li Gu asked gravely. Am I good to you? Good. Then, can you go back and sleep? Not good. Li Gu. My good Zizi, what exactly do you want? Li Gu gave in. Why did I have to meet Yi Zizi? It would be better if I met other women. Yi Zizi grinned and said, Of course I want to play, do you want to play by yourself? Without a choice, Li Gu could only compromise. Let's make a deal then, you can't act shamelessly. I won't act shamelessly. Yi Zizi's pair of scarlet eyes revealed a hint of craftiness. Li Gu could only believe in Yi Zizi for the time being, and his complexion gradually returned to normal. This caused Xiang Liren and Shi Yu, who were not far away, to feel relieved. This is exactly the kind of expression that should be filled with killing intent. Relieved, relieved. But, who is this little girl? Just now, this man seemed to be very afraid of her. This is truly strange. Could it be that this little girl is an expert? However, I can't see how she is an expert at all. Isn't she just a little wimp? Yi Zizi could be seen falling down from the sky, and Li Gu was stupefied. I haven't even said who is going to be the first round, and you are already jumping down just like that. Looking at Yi Zizi jumping down just like that, Xiang Liren and Shi Yu felt unwell. Your Wuxia empire is so big. Could it be that there is no one else? To actually send a little girl to fight against me, you should at least send an adult. My God, are you guys trying to make us anxious to death? Such a cute little girl is actually going to die. I really can't bear to see this happen. And me. I am going to die soon as well. My God, don't treat us like this. Yi Zizi stood on the snowy ground and stared at the millions of people in front of her, then said with a smile, Who is going to play with me? Send someone powerful. Of course, Mu Xinhai wouldn't go up himself. How can the main commander go up in the first round? Only when the main commander is unable to handle the situation will the main commander be able to go up. However, Mu Xinhai didn't expect that the other party would actually send out a girl. This girl is really no different from a child. Who is willing to fight on my behalf? Mu Xinhai shouted gravely. Me. Yang Yao could be seen suddenly standing out, then floating in front of Mu Xinhai while cupping his hands and saying respectfully. Looking at Yang Yao's way of doing things, Shi Yu felt helpless as well. Why do you have to be so anxious? Just look at the situation first. Right now we don't even know how strong the enemy is. Yang Yao's thinking was very simple. Right now is the best time to gain the enemy's trust. All right. If we win this battle, your name will be left in the history. Thank you, Palace Master. Yang Yao was happy in his heart. Seems like my decision is correct. For Yang Yao to be able to do such a thing, he completely treated Yi Zizi as a girl, thinking how strong a little guy could be. Using a little guy to gain the Palace Master's trust, it is very worth it. It is not a loss at all, and instead, it is a huge profit. Just now, Shuri also wanted to fight, but in the end, he still hesitated, which was why Yang Yao got ahead of him. However, Shuri didn't really take it to heart, but now that there was a chance for him to perform. After Yang Yao received the order, he flew towards Yi Zizi and stood not far away from Yi Zizi. "Hi, Yang Yao, don't kill nameless people. Report your name, I will let you die happily today." Yang Yao could be seen summoning out his tomb spike and preparing to use all sorts of drills. End of this chapter. Chapter 861. Yi Zizi twirled her ponytail with her slender fingers and smiled. "No need to introduce yourself, I am not interested in your name. In any case, I will not be able to see you later." Boasting shamelessly. "Watch my thorn," Yang Yao shouted angrily, trying his best to display his strength so that Mu Xinhai would take a fancy to him. A silver thorn instantly condensed in Yang Yao's right hand and exploded with quite a bit of aura. The thorn was even emitting a faint blue light. With one look, one could tell that it was a weapon that had been tempered thrice. This Yang Yao is not bad. He has even tempered a primordial godly weapon thrice. Mu Xinhai said after seeing. Shi, who was standing behind, smiled and said, "For a person at the peak of the Dozong realm, it is already not easy to temper a primordial godly weapon thrice. This Yang Yao's potential is indeed not bad. It is indeed not bad. Let's see if he can defeat his opponent." Mu Xinhai said faintly. "If this Yang Yao can help me regain some face, there will still be a reward, but if not, then don't blame me for being ruthless, your benevolent king prison will no longer exist." In the arena, the thorn in Yang Yao's hand directly pierced towards the space between Yi Zizi's eyebrows. The explosive speed of his body caused people to be speechless. This had definitely surpassed the strength of the peak of the Dozong realm. The snow on the ground flew into the sky under this violent aura, instantly forming a beautiful picture. Although Yi Zizi appeared a little lazy, she was still very happy in her heart. Finally someone came. This is simply too great. Otherwise, I would have been suffocated to death. Although this is trash, I can still play with it and entertain my mood. After all, there is not even chicken dinner in this world. It is really boring. Seeing the opponent attack, Yi Zizi's delicate body suddenly jumped back, as if she was escaping for her life. This scene caused Shi Yu and Xiang Liren to have the heart to die. Since she knew that she had to escape for her life, why did she come down just now? Got it. She must have been pushed down just now. Yi Zizi dodging backwards made Yang Yao even more violent. He only retreated because he believed that Yi Zizi could not handle it. "Deep drill!" Yang Yao shouted, and the thorn actually began to spin crazily, bringing along a snowflake as it attacked towards Yi Zizi. Over 1 million people heard the name of this move, and at least half of them revealed astonished expressions. It seemed that half of them were experienced players. Shi Yu sighed softly. Why did Yang Yao have to come up with such a weird name? It really made people blush with shame. Moreover, he had to shout it in front of millions of people. Fortunately, he didn't shout that move. Toxic Dragon Drill. Facing this sudden deep drill, Yi Zizi actually stretched out her small palm. Yang Yao could even see the lines on Yi Zizi's palm. She actually used her palm to block my deep drill. She was simply courting death. Ha! Hearing Yang Yao's shout, a wave of qi immediately dispersed in all directions. His aura rose once again, and a dazzling light burst out from his tomb. Sure, you couldn't help but continue watching. Oh my god! How did you block it with your palm? Although Yang Yao's name was very dirty, its power couldn't be underestimated. When Mu Xinhai saw this scene, he also revealed a sinister smile. This little girl was really naive. However, Shi, who was standing at the back, didn't think so. Just now, this little girl had clearly taken the initiative to come down, and looking at that guy now, he didn't have the slightest bit of worry. This could only mean one thing. This little girl was not as simple as she thought. Perhaps, this Yang Yao was finished. Bang! A huge wave of qi exploded in front of the city gate. The snow on the ground all melted, and the scene became blurry for a moment, causing people to be unable to see the result clearly. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu stared at each other, and they were shouting in their hearts. Don't die. If you die, we will also die with you. The corner of Mu Xinhai's mouth curled up into a smile. Although there was a huge gap between me and a peak Dozong, this kind of attack had already reached the level of a rank 1 Do Emperor. Receiving the attack with his hand without wearing any defensive equipment, the result was already very obvious. That arm is definitely gone. I, Mu Xinhai, am 100% sure. However, Just when Mu Xinhai was 100% sure, the smile on the corner of his mouth gradually fell, and his gaze also became shocked. Not only Mu Xinhai, Shi who was at the back also revealed a shocked gaze. Just now it was all just a guess, but only after seeing this scene with his own eyes, did he know that it was really very shocking. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu were also shocked, but after the shock, the two of them actually let out cheers. This made them even more astonished. Looking at the over 1 million people who were as silent as death, only Xiang Liren and Shi Yu's cheers could be heard, as if they were the cheerleaders of the other party. To Xiang Liren and Shi Yu, they should indeed be cheering. After all, they had handed all of their hopes to Wuxia Empire, and if Wuxia Empire was unable to hold on, they would also die. However, right now, this is too great. That little girl actually grabbed onto the sharp end of the mausoleum spike. Indeed, Yi Zizi's left hand grabbed onto the sharp end of the mausoleum spike that was spinning crazily, and the corner of her mouth even carried a trace of an arc, as if she was mocking Yang Yao for overestimating his capabilities. My depth drill is a big move, and the sharp end of the mausoleum spike was actually grabbed onto by this little girl. What is that hand of hers made of? Is it a prehistoric artifact? You just don't believe me, and you are actually chasing after me to beat me up. Yi Zizi laughed softly, and her palms slightly exerted force. Bang! The mausoleum spike that was a prehistoric godly artifact could be seen shattering. At the very least, the sharp end of the mausoleum spike was completely shattered by Yi Zizi. This scene caused the over 1 million people to be dumbfounded. A prehistoric godly artifact was able to shatter with just a small hand, and it was even tempered thrice. How is this possible? Yi Zizi squeezed her hand, then slowly loosened her grip, and some powder could be seen floating out from her hand. Yang Yao's expression revealed out an astonished expression. Without thinking too much, he directly leaped backwards and pulled apart the distance between them. He felt that the person standing in front of him wasn't a little girl at all. She was a demon. The incarnation of a demon. This was the first time he saw someone being able to shatter a prehistoric godly artifact into powder. Yi Zizi slowly walked towards Yang Yao, and Yang Yao retreated backwards reflexively. When Shi Yu saw this scene, he thought that Yang Yao was finished. The bird that sticks out will be shot. Why can't you hold back anymore? Mu Xinhai looked at Yang Yao, who was gradually retreating, and his expression became extremely ugly. 100%. Why do you always make me lose face? This damned Wuxia Empire. Just what is this little girl made of, to be able to shatter a prehistoric godly artifact with just her palm? Shi who was behind Mu Xinhai sighed in his heart. This Yang Yao should be finished. I reckon that only a Do Zun would be able to deal with this little girl. Over 1 million people watched as a little girl gradually forced Yang Yao to retreat. No matter what, that Yang Yao was at the peak of the Dozong realm, and he needed his dignity as well. Right now, he actually didn't even want his dignity anymore. From this, it could be seen just how terrified he was. End of this chapter. Chapter 862. Only those who truly faced Yi Zizi would feel fear. One couldn't blame Yang Yao for being timid. This was a normal reaction. Back then, Yi Zizi even beat others until they became autistic. Don't retreat, we haven't started fighting yet. Yi Zizi laughed lightly. She felt that she hadn't even warmed up yet. Yang Yao's face was filled with fear as he continuously retreated and questioned with a trembling voice. Just who are you? Me? I am me. You are stupid to actually ask this kind of question. You are not allowed to retreat anymore. Otherwise, I will get angry. Yi Zizi kept her smile and said coldly. Yang Yao wouldn't be fooled. He was obviously not her opponent, and he even lost a weapon that was tempered to level 3, and he even lost face. This was not a worthwhile trade. Yang Yao could be seen running away very shamelessly. His body turned into an afterimage and flew towards the horizon. Seeing Yang Yao running away in a hurry, Mu Xinhai wished that he could kill him himself. This was a deserter. Everyone had the right to punish him. However, when Yang Yao was running away, Yi Zizi's figure also disappeared. When Yang Yao was really happy that he ran away, Yi Zizi's figure once again appeared in front of him. I hate people running away the most. Yi Zizi said in a low voice, and her small fist suddenly shot out. Before Yang Yao could even react, he felt a pain in his abdomen. But it was only a little bit of pain. Ha ha ha, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. Yang Yao laughed wildly, This crazy laughter seemed as if it was going to penetrate through the heaven and earth. Along with a boom, Yang Yao's body could be seen exploding in the air, causing everyone to be dumbstruck. Instantly killing a peak dozong with a punch. May I ask, how did you do it? Sure, you also had the strength of a peak dozong, but seeing Yang Yao being killed with a punch, his entire person was not good. If it was him just now, he would definitely be killed with a punch. He didn't even see how powerful that punch was. It was as if it was just a casual punch. Mu Xinhai felt that this little girl definitely had a weapon on her hand. Otherwise, how could she be able to grab a prehistoric godly item and instantly kill a peak dozong with a punch? All of this felt so impossible. Yi Zizi raised her small fist and said slowly, "So weak, gone in an instant. I already said not to introduce you, what a waste of saliva." After speaking, Yi Zizi floated towards the city tower. "Let Lai Gu go up, these people are too weak, I'm not interested." "Zizi, are you not playing anymore?" Lai Gu was happy, she finally left. Yi Zizi pouted. "Boring. I'm going back to sleep. You can play by yourself." "Haha, alright, bye-bye." Lai Gu was very happy in his heart. "Leave quickly. Leave these people to me." Seeing the little girl leave, a lot of people were happy. Thought in his. Yi saw that the little girl leave. Actually, Yi Yes Yen thought in that had left. Actually, seeing the little girl leave, many people secretly rejoiced. After all, the impact of Yi Zizi's attack just now was very strong. Now that she had left, everyone felt at ease. They even felt that with an expert gone, it would be easier to deal with them. They had forgotten that Yi Zizi was heading towards the city. Even if the city was breached, they would still have to face them. However, at this time, the city gates were still not closed. Could they be a little more careful? In any case, they were here to attack the city. If they closed the city gates, there would still be an atmosphere of attacking the city. The current atmosphere was very bad. Lai Gu shouted loudly, "That round just now doesn't count, let's start again." "Sure you, Xiang Liren. Why doesn't it count? Why doesn't it count? It definitely counts. That Yang Yao isn't the strongest, he's just a cannon fodder. Don't get arrogant, you average guy." Mu Xinhai felt that the other party was insulting him again and said gravely, "Shuri, you go and play." Shuri paused for a moment, then said respectfully, "Manner Master, how about we see who the other party sends out first?" Mu Xinhai still didn't know that this Shuri was a cunning old fox. If the other party was very strong, he definitely wouldn't go up. "You guys send out your people." Mu Xinhai shouted loudly. Lai Gu was happy. Just as he was about to jump down, a voice rang out beside him. "Lai Gu, what are you doing?" Lai Gu felt that he was going to die. Why do people keep appearing at such a crucial moment? Can't all of you come at once? Don't appear so intermittently. This will tire me to death. The person who came was still a little girl. Kai Yun. This was also someone that Lai Gu didn't want to see. After all, this Kai Yun was from Yuehua's side, so he had to give way to her. Wow, so many people, so many ships. Kai Yun looked at the horizon and couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Both of his hands were covering his mouth, as if he was very afraid. Sure Yu and Xiang Liren's jaws were about to drop onto the ground. A little girl just left. Why is there another little girl coming? Could it be that this Wushu Empire doesn't have any big ones? All of them are little girls? And this little girl doesn't seem to be as strong as the one just now. She seems to be very weak. How about I send out another little girl? Lai Gu squeezed out a smile and asked, "Kai Yun, why did you come?" "Oh, I just bumped into Yi Zizi. She said that there's something fun to do here," Kai Yun said with a smile. Yi Zizi did not lie to him. Sure enough, there was something fun here. Lai Gu covered his face with his hand. "This Yi Zizi, I let you go and play for a round, so why did you still have to tell other people about it? Furthermore, you even told Kai Yun, this wife's family. Then why is this king still playing? These people were discovered by this king. You can't snatch them all." "That Kai Yun, Yuhua has something to talk to you about today." Lai Gu began to bull ***. As long as I can trick Kai Yun away, everything will be fine. Yuehua is looking for me? There's no hurry. It's not a big deal anyway. Lai Gu hurriedly said, "It's a big matter. Did you bully Yuhua?" Kai Yun asked. How is that possible? Why would I bully you, Hua? Lai Gu was truly ashamed. What is this Kai Yun thinking about all day long? Then I'll go down and play. Without waiting for Lai Gu to reply, Kai Yun floated out just like that, and his face had a childlike innocence. At the very least, many people felt that this was the expression a child should have. The one just now was too savage and not to be trifled with at all. Seeing that the little girl had gone up the stage, Xiang Liren and Shi Yu felt a bit despair again. Manner Master, leave this little girl to me. Shi Yi, who was standing behind Mu Xinhai, said respectfully. Shi Yi was able to guarantee that this little girl is definitely not as powerful as the previous one, and is definitely weaker than the previous one. Therefore, I can go up the stage and ensure that everything goes smoothly. However, Shi Yi didn't think of one point. Even if the other party is weaker, you are still not a match for the other party. This is the fatal blow. You are still too young. End of this chapter. Chapter 863. Go, be careful. Mu Xinhai did not object to Shi Yi's request. This Shi Yi had the strength of a peak Do Di. It was a completely different concept from the peak of the Do Zone class. Hence, he was much more at ease. The main point was that this little girl looked like an honest person who was easy to bully. If Kai Yun knew what these people were thinking, she would definitely laugh delicately. How do you guys know that I'm an honest person? You're really too smart. However, just as Shi Yi was about to step onto the warship, a figure suddenly appeared. This surprised everyone present. This was a young man who looked as cold as ice. His skin was very white, and the main point was that his appearance was very beautiful, and he had long hair. If she wore women's clothing, she would definitely be a great beauty. When Mu Xinhai saw this person, he immediately greeted respectfully, "Greetings, Fan Jin." Shi Yi had never seen Fan Jin before, but when he heard Mu Xinhai's words, he immediately cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Fan Jin." No need for formalities. Fan Jin said calmly, appearing very natural. His right hand was placed behind his back, and his left hand was placed on his abdomen. Seeing Fan Jin's sudden appearance, Mu Xinhai and Shi Yi both calmed down. This was a person who was half a step into the realm of honorable martial artist. Today, he would definitely destroy Wuxia Empire. When Fan Jin caught sight of the voidless empire before him, he let out a slightly startled look as well. However, he quickly retracted it. Who would have thought that there would be such an empire in the northern cold land? This was truly an eye-opening experience. No wonder Mu Xinhai wanted to take it for himself. Even he was a little tempted by it. However, as someone who already had half a foot into the ranks of Supremes, he still couldn't bring himself to do so. Shi Yu also saw the man who suddenly appeared and expressed that she did not know him. "Valley Master, who is this man?" Shi Yu asked curiously. Xiang Liren's entire body froze. Mu Xinhai had really called Fan Jin over. Originally, he thought that it was fake. How could Mu Xinhai call Fan Jin? But now that the truth was in front of him, he had no choice but to believe it. Shi Yu was shocked to see Xiang Liren beside her. Even she felt a little uncertain. "Valley Master, who is this?" Xiang Liren took a deep breath. "This is Fan Jin, a man who is half a step into becoming an honorable." Hearing Xiang Liren's words, Shi Yu was like a stone sculpture, unable to budge an inch. This person was actually the legendary figure of the north, the great god Fan Jin. He was just a step away from entering the ranks of Supremes. This was too terrifying. Also, why did he come here today? I'm done for. A person who is half a step into the realm of Overlord came, and he's really dead. Shi Yu wasn't the only one who thought this way. Xiang Li and the others also felt the same. They were really dead. Mu Xinhai was now full of confidence. As long as Fan Jin was around, they would definitely win today's battle. "Don't worry," Fan Jin said calmly. This was just a small matter and there was no need for him to do anything. Just look at the formation of the other party. No, this shouldn't be called a formation, because there was no formation at all. There was even a little girl standing in the middle, and the city gate was still open. Could it be that they were scared silly? Where was the emperor? He couldn't be dreaming, right? Right now, Yi Hua was currently hugging onto his 3 wives, and he was currently dreaming. And he was completely unaware that his subordinate had snatched away the limelight of him acting cool. I reckon that when Yihua wakes up, he would already be gone. Daji stood outside the door and waited. In order not to disturb her master's sleep, she even set up a barrier. This bunch of reckless fools actually dared to disturb his master's sweet dreams. He really wanted to rush out and kill them all. In the field. Shuri finally entered the field. He steadily landed 30 feet away from Kai Yun. Kai Yun had been maintaining a childlike smile. Coupled with that petite figure of hers, she really looked like a child. However, different from Yi Zizi, this was a little girl that came from the bottom of her heart. Kai Yun felt that there was a rather powerful person that came just now, but that powerful person actually didn't come down, and what the hell came instead? I'm really a little disappointed, sigh. Shuri heard the sigh of the little girl and asked curiously, if you go back now, I won't kill you. You want to kill me? I haven't even planned to kill you yet, bad guy, Kai Yun said with a childish voice. Shuri immediately covered her face. Big sister, how can you say such words when two armies are facing each other? You have to say some threatening words, just like that little girl just now, saying some threatening words right from the start. Threatening people at the drop of a hat. This is what is called imposing manner. Look at you, your words are still soft, and you even said that you are a bad guy at the end. My God. I'm definitely a bad guy. I'm dead for sure. Shuri didn't expect that this little girl would be so delicate, to actually call me a bad guy. Do I look like a good person? I'm already fighting my way to your doorstep. I've already given you a chance. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Shuri said coldly. Since they were on the battlefield, age and strength were no longer important. You can only blame yourselves for underestimating your opponent, to actually ask a little girl to come and fight. I don't blame you. Kai Yun said happily. This person's words were really interesting. Following Kai Yun's words, over 1 million people were secretly laughing. This little girl was much more adorable. That little girl just now was a violent little loli, simply too terrifying. However, the one fighting this time around was Shuri, with the strength of a peak do D. He would definitely be able to kill his opponent with one punch and turn the tables. Xiang Liren and Shuri were almost unable to hold on any longer. Both of their legs were trembling. This little girl couldn't give them confidence at all. They would definitely be completely abused by Shuri. As the leader of the Viper sect, Shuri was an expert in playing with snakes. His snakes were all carefully bred, and even a Do Zun had to be careful when dealing with them. After being poisoned, it was impossible to cure them in a short period of time. In that case, I'll let you have a taste first. Shuri swung his right hand, and a black shadow flew out from his elegant robe and attacked Kai Yun. Its speed was so fast that it left one speechless. Fan Jin saw Shuri's action and faintly said, "It is unexpected that this person actually has a Kuan snake. Not bad." Mu Xinhai respectfully said, "He is the leader of the Viper sect, Shuri. He specializes in collecting some rare snake species." So that's the case. That makes sense. Fan Jin faintly said. At this moment, Shuryu also exclaimed, "What kind of snake is this?" Xiang Liren said in a deep voice, "This is a Kuan snake. This kind of snake is extremely small, but its poison is extremely high. Even a Do D will faint after being bitten. Moreover, this kind of Kuan snake is extremely rare. If it is not raised from a young age, it will kill its owner." "What if I am bitten?" Shuryu curiously asked. Xiang Liren looked at Shuryu and laughed softly. "You will be gone in a breath's time." "Damn it, is it so terrifying?" Shuryu exclaimed. "That's right. This fellow is the Snake King, a Do D who plays with snakes. He is much stronger than me," Xiang Liren faintly said. It seemed that he was also very afraid of these poisonous snakes. It was impossible to guard against them. End of this chapter. Chapter 864. Shuryu's face turned ashen as she listened to the end of the story. A Do D who played with snakes was really King untouchable. This little girl was finished. After she was done for, he and the Valley Master would also be done for. "Are you two trying to play us to death?" It was cold. Kai Yun seemed to be in a daze, as if he didn't know what was going on at all. That innocent look of his made people believe him without a doubt. Lai Gu, who was standing on top of the city wall, was very depressed. "Don't create any more trouble, I just want to go down and act cool. What's wrong with that? I'll just pretend for a while. Damn it, I've already thought of my lines. As the Kuan snake sped forward, Kai Yun suddenly stretched out his hand. It was so fast that no one noticed it. Seeing this, Fan Jin, who was standing on the battleship, was stunned for a moment. His brows furrowed slightly. Who was Kai Yun? Back then, she was a little girl who had fought against Yi Hua. Her strength was terrifying, and her battle prowess was not to be underestimated. In the end, Yi Hua still managed to scare Kai Yun to the point that he pissed his pants with Yi Hua's deviant flame. This also showed how formidable deviant flames were, especially Yi Hua's deviant flame, which was even more monstrous to the extreme. However, even now, Yi Hua still hasn't managed to fuse with all the different flames that he wanted. On the other hand, Dong Huangli casually fused with all the different flames, causing Yi Hua to feel depressed. However, when I thought about my child's talent, I didn't really put it to heart. My child should be more powerful than me. Only then would I be able to make myself feel proud. Kai Yun grabbed the Kuan serpent's head. Everyone was dumbfounded by this action. Looking at Shi Yu and Xiang Liren, their eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Their mood was like sitting on a rocket, going up and down. They felt like they couldn't handle such a state of mind. Just a moment ago, he thought that the little girl was done for, but in the blink of an eye, the little girl actually grabbed the Kuan snake. Mu Xinhai couldn't help but exclaim, "How is this possible? She actually caught it." Fan Jin stood at the back and did not say a word. His face was a little gloomy. Even though it was only a small claw, it contained too many profound techniques. From the moment it moved to the moment it landed, everything was done neatly, and it was so swift that even he was only able to catch a glimpse of it. What kind of little girl was she? Fan Jin was a little shocked. In terms of speed, this little girl did not lose to him. Looking at the open city gate behind the little girl, Fan Jin unconsciously swallowed his saliva. Just what kind of world was beyond that? And the man on the city wall? What the hell was he wearing? Why was this outfit so strange? It was too frivolous. And it was pink. His hair was even parted in the middle. And that frivolous expression, his whole body lying on the city wall, as if he was very bored. Just a moment ago, she had thought that this man was being arrogant, but now, he didn't take it to heart at all. This was a kind of confidence. What happened before I came? Fan Jin faintly asked. His solemn expression faded away. He knew that he couldn't express his negative emotions right now. After all, Fan Jin also wanted face. Mu Xinhai softly said, "Just now, the other party also sent out a little girl. She shattered a peak do zone with one punch." She's also a little girl? Fan Jin was puzzled. Were there no men in this empire? Did they all let girls compete? That's right. That little girl crushed an ancient godly item, and it was even tempered thrice. Mu Xinhai added. Then he added, "I feel that the little girl should be carrying some kind of weapon." Fan Jin was speechless. If he was really carrying a weapon, that would be fine. But if he didn't bring it? Fan Jin couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. If he didn't bring it, his strength should be at least at the overlord level. Because even I am unable to crush an ancient godly item that was tempered thrice with my bare hands. Right now, Fan Jin was a little uncertain. Suddenly, Fan Jin asked, "What are those two people standing over there for? Spectator seats?" Great God, Fan Jin, those two people are traitors, they are cowards. If they just stand there, Wuxia Empire won't be able to harm them. Mu Xinhai said gravely. After I take care of Wuxia Empire, I will kill those two people. Indeed. Fan Jin said softly. He seemed to mind, but he still took a look at the spectator seats. On the stage, Shi Yi was a little speechless. My Kuan snake was actually caught by the girl on the other side. This is a scene I have never seen before. She is actually still teasing my Kuan snake. That's right. Kai Yun was indeed teasing Shi Yi's Kuan snake. Qu'est-ce good little snake, what is your name? Kai Yun could be seen grabbing onto the lower part of the snake's head and patting onto the Kuan snake's head with his left hand. To be honest right now, the Kuan snake was a little stupefied as well. The Kuan snake charged out with the aura of death, and that expression on its face was rather sinister. As long as someone saw that expression, that person would definitely be fearful. If there was a mirror in front of the Kuan snake, Even the Kuan snake would be frightened by that ferocious expression. Just as the Kuan snake was about to bite onto the girl's neck and release its liquid, unexpectedly, the girl grabbed onto its throat, and that feeling was just as if its lifeblood was cut off. Furthermore, the girl even patted onto its head. Could it be that you have never seen such a ferocious snake before? Look at my ferocious expression. Are you frightened by it? Still not letting go of me? Let me take a bite. Ayo! Patting my head, if you have the guts. Pat my head again and make my expression 3 times more ferocious. I will make you shiver in fear. Kai Yun said with a smile. Aya, this little snake actually knows how to use emoticons, cute. After finished speaking, Kai Yun patted onto the Kuan snake's head. The Kuan snake immediately felt that its dignity was being insulted, and it opened its big mouth. Are you fierce or not? Don't be frightened to the point of peeing. However, the Kuan snake that opened its mouth was stupefied. If it were to say what was the thing that it regretted the most in its entire life, it would be that it opened its mouth in front of this little girl. Because Kai Yun directly pinched onto the Kuan snake's poisonous fang and pulled. Afterward, Kai Yun pulled out another poisonous fang, then said with a smile, "All right, you are not poisonous anymore." Over 1 million people were stupefied. This little girl is so scary. Killing people without a trace. No, this is killing a snake without a trace. You pulled out a poisonous snake's fang. How do you expect other people to be poisonous snakes in the future? Do other people's snakes not care about their face? In front of over 1 million people, you humiliated a snake in front of everyone. Too much. This is too much. This kind of way of doing things is simply asking for heaven's punishment. Right now, the Kuan snake didn't know what was going on, it just felt that its mouth was in pain, and its brain was buzzing. Afterward, when it closed its mouth, it felt that something was missing. Just like the feeling of an old person without teeth. My teeth? My poisonous fang. Mommy, where did my poisonous fang go to? End of this chapter. Chapter 865. Shi Yi's face was already red from anger. This is not only insulting my snake, this is also insulting my face. She actually pulled out Kuan snake's tooth. How is this possible? Kuan snake's tooth is not inferior to a prehistoric godly item, and she actually pulled it out. This is definitely impossible. Shouldn't such a naive little girl be playing under her mother's knees and asking for sweets to eat? And that hand of hers is made from a prehistoric godly item. Originally, Fan Jin was already very shocked when Kai Yun grabbed onto Kuan snake's neck, but when he saw that the little girl actually pulled out Kuan snake's poisonous tooth, Fan Jin felt a little dizzy. The reason why the Kuan snake was so rare was because it was a living desolate era godly item. A living desolate era godly item was much better than some weapons. Even a species like the Kuan snake could be compared to a desolate era godly item. Yet, this little girl is actually playing with it in her hands like she is catching a chicken. For some reason, Fan Jin felt that it is better for me to leave. But if I leave now, do I not want my face anymore? Even a snake wants its face, and I am a peak do Zun. Do I not want my face anymore? Great God, Fan Jin, this. Mu Xinhai was also a little confused. That panicked look of his was comparable to Fan Jin's. Why are all the little girls from Wuxia Empire so savage? The last one was crushed, this one is pulled out. Do you all still want your face? Is there anyone who fights like this? This is clearly slapping their own faces. When Fan Jin saw that Mu Xinhai turned around, his expression immediately changed. It's fine with me around, they won't be able to cause any trouble. That's good. Hearing the great god's words, Mu Xinhai heaved a sigh of relief. At least Fan Jin is still confident. However, what Mu Xinhai didn't know was that Fan Jin is not confident at all. Right now, he is also panicking, and even feels that he shouldn't have come today. He is a little regretful. What to do? Xiang Liren and Shi Yu's faces were also filled with shock. Shi Yu didn't really understand and asked, "Is this Kuan snake's tooth that easy to pull out?" No. It's not easy at all. This Kuan snake's tooth can even bite through meteoric iron. There has never been a record in history that a Kuan snake is afraid of its tooth. This little girl is even more savage than the last one. We have underestimated Wuxia Empire's strength. Xiang Liren was now certain that Wuxia Empire was filled with hidden tigers and crouching dragons. Sure, you even felt that the person in the wheelchair was actually the weakest. These people were the main force of Voidless Empire. Little Girls Guild. This might be the most pitiful Kuan snake in history, to be humiliated like this. Sure, you sighed with emotion in the end. He realized that it was a wise choice for him to run away. God bless the three Absolute Palace. Xiang Liren felt the same way. Release my snake. Shuri roared, appearing very malevolent. The Kuan snake was one of his most important snake species. In fact, he had raised it since it was young and treated it like his own child. Now that he saw his own child fall into the hands of others and have his teeth pulled out in public, how could he bear such a great humiliation? Kai Yun grabbed the already stiff Kuan snake and said delightedly, "Wait a moment, I still haven't played enough." "Isn't that right, little snake?" Right now, Kuan snake was already stupefied. Where is this place? Why did I get caught? I lost my memories. I definitely lost my memories. Let me take a nap. Just like that, Kai Yun watched as the Kuan snake went limp. Instantly, he cried out in alarm and lifted the Kuan snake up. "Little snake, what's wrong with you? Hurry up and wake up." After saying that, he patted the Kuan snake's head. "Stop hitting it. You savage woman." Shuri was already on the verge of going berserk. Just like that, he watched as his child was being patted. Meanwhile, even after Kai Yun patted the Kuan snake for a long time, the Kuan snake still didn't wake up. "I'm returning it to you, it's boring." Kai Yun could be seen directly tossing the Kuan snake over to Shuri. Shuri caught hold of the Kuan snake and discovered that the Kuan snake was no longer breathing. "You actually tried to kill it. Why are you so vicious? You are a snake and scorpion woman." Shuri cursed at Kai Yun. "This Kuan snake is so cute, yet it was actually slapped to death. I have never seen such a heartless girl before. She is even more heartless than the one just now." Kai Yun was unconvinced as he pouted his small mouth and said, "How am I vicious? I only slapped it a few times. Who knew that your little snake would be so weak? You. Today, I am going to hang your corpse at the city gate and expose it to the sun." "It's freezing," Kai Yun reminded. "How can there be any exposure to the sun here? This person truly doesn't know anything." "Anything is fine. Look at my snake." "Ah, do you still have snakes? Quickly let me play with them." "Come out, silver-winged great snake." Shuri shouted angrily, and another snake flew out from his sleeves. However, it didn't attack towards Kai Yun, and instead landed at the side. This was a pitch-black snake with 3 eyes, and one of the eyes grew above the other 2 eyes, appearing very strange. "Wah, just how many snakes are inside your clothes?" Kai Yun cried out in surprise. He really wanted to strip off Shuri's clothes and see how many more snakes were hidden inside his sleeves. "I'm not telling you," Shuri said casually. After saying that, he felt that something was wrong. Why did I say such words? It makes me seem like I am a child. Damn it, I have been led astray by this little girl. Silver-winged great snake, let the world see your true appearance. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The pitch-black silver-winged great snake suddenly expanded rapidly, and in 2 breaths' time, it became a huge snake that was 300 meters tall. This kind of height had already reached the height of the city wall, perhaps even higher, because half of it was still coiled on the ground. Wah! Kai Yun couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Even Lai Gu, who was on the city wall, was shocked. "It seems like I haven't eaten a snake for a very long time. Although this silver-winged great snake isn't a super tonic, it can still nourish the body. My precious Yu Hua and my 3 wives all need nourishment. Should I stew it or roast it?" What Lai Gu was thinking in his heart was what Kai Yun was thinking in his heart. Such a big lump of snake. How long do I have to eat it? I might as well have a snake stew festival in the whole city. Everyone will be very happy. I am really looking forward to it. Snake Stew Street. It sounds interesting. Are you afraid? Do you think that this is the end? That is impossible. Shuri sneered, and a peak stage Emperor aura was released. Armor of Spirit Root. Dragon Tiger Nail. Giant Seal. Flower Cloud Demonic Piece. Following Shuri's shout, an armor appeared on the body of the silver-winged great snake, covering its entire body. On the surface of the armor, countless objects that looked like teeth appeared, emitting a cold aura. On the surface of the armor of Spirit Root, flashing imprints appeared, seemingly causing the defense of the armor of Spirit Root to become even stronger. On the surface of the armor of Spirit Root, many strange flowers also appeared. These flowers carried the aura of death, announcing their arrival. End of this chapter. Chapter 866. A powerful aura burst forth from the silver-winged serpent's body. This was a snake with a lot of buffs. Although this silver-winged snake was slightly weaker than the Kuan snake, with these buffs, it was much stronger than the Kuan snake. The Kuan serpent was used for sneak attacks, catching people off guard. However, this silver-winged serpent was used for frontal attacks. To put it bluntly, this snake could destroy an entire empire. This snake is so powerful. It feels like it has the strength of a Dozun. Shiryu exclaimed. It had swelled up just after it was released. At that time, it felt that it only had the strength of a Do-D. However, with the addition of those chi methods, it had directly broken through to the Dozun class. Xiang Liren simply said, I've already told you, Shi is a snake player. This silver-winged serpent is one of his trump cards. Today he used it, and it was an eye-opener for me. If Shi breaks through to the Supreme Being stage, I'm afraid this snake will be ranked among the prehistoric beasts. What? Prehistoric ferocious beast. Shiryu was so shocked that he was speechless. If this Shi had really reached the level of a Supreme Being, and could even make a snake reach the level of a primordial beast, then it would be shocking. After all, being able to command a primordial beast was an extremely terrifying thing. At this moment, Mu Xinhai finally smiled. Looks like Shi is still hiding some strength. This silver-winged serpent is indeed powerful. It is already a rank 1 Dozun. Although Mu Xinhai was smiling, he was a little uneasy in his heart. This was because Shi's trump card was indeed terrifying. After all, he was only a rank 2 Dozun while he was only at the peak of the Do-D class. Yet he had a Dozun pet and could fight with him. He could only say that Shi was too good at hiding. He had to be more careful in the future. Shi had no other choice. He didn't want to use this move, but the Kuan snake's death made Shi angry. He revealed his trump card. Fan Jin, who was standing at the side, was not happy at all. Based on the little girl's move just now, the snake should be able to handle it. Now he was only hoping, but he was wrong. However, how could someone at the peak of the Dozun class make a wrong judgment? However, when the millions of people saw this scene, they instantly cheered, and their morale reached its peak. Kill! 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 Battle cries rang out from outside the city, piercing through the clouds. An austere aura immediately engulfed the entire battlefield. When Shi heard such a murderous aura, his blood began to boil. Silver-winged serpent. Eat this heartless man in front of you. Shi bellowed, and the huge silver-winged serpent seemed to understand him. His body instantly began to spiral, and he looked down on Kai Yun. The sturdy head instantly smashed towards Kai Yun. The armor that wrapped around the head of the silver-winged serpent suddenly blossomed with a gorgeous color, and the ferocious spikes were like a blooming flower. Faced with the ferocious silver-winged colossal snake, Kai Yun grinned and said, Wow, how can I eat such a big lump? There's too much. Boom! The silver-winged serpent crashed heavily into the ground, leaving behind a huge crater. A berserk airwave spread out in all directions, and even the battleship that was in the sky started to sway slightly. However, when it came into contact with the city wall, there was no reaction at all. No one saw this because they were all looking to see if the little girl was dead or not. However, Fan Jin witnessed this scene. Such a powerful shockwave was actually unable to cause any damage to the city walls. Furthermore, he had clearly sensed a fluctuation of aura from the city walls just now. There must be something guarding it. If I didn't sense it carefully, I wouldn't have noticed it. Look at that Mu Xinhai. There was no reaction at all. To be able to do this, perhaps only an overlord would be able to do it. If that's the case, this Wuxia Empire has an overlord. F***CK. Didn't this damned Mu Xinhai say that this is just a small empire? This fucking small empire actually has an overlord, and he even dragged me here to die. How about I leave right now? Face is small, but life is still very precious. Just as Fan Jin was thinking of running away, His gaze suddenly became astonished. How is this possible? There is actually someone who sealed the space. And I actually didn't notice it at all. It's over. Even I didn't notice it at all. There is probably really an overlord in the city. This time, I am really screwed over by Mu Xinhai. I don't even have the chance to escape, and this group of fools is still cheering. Can you all grow a heart? Other people are just playing around. F***CK. No wonder other people are still opening the city gates, completely not putting everyone in their eyes. And that man on top of the city walls, the smile on the corner of his mouth is still there. That man is most likely even more savage. Mu Xinhai looked at the scene and didn't notice the changes in Fan Jin. In Mu Xinhai's heart, this Wuxia empire is just like a piece of paper, and as long as I give the order, the city gates will immediately be broken. Everything will be plundered, and this Wuxia empire will become my Yuanyang Manor's territory. And I will be living in the palace. This is such a thing that I yearn for. At the scene, when the smoke dispersed, the silver-winged great snake could be seen to still be in an attacking posture. But as long as one observed carefully, one would notice that the silver-winged great snake's body was slightly trembling, as if it was using a lot of strength, but it was useless. A pair of wings could be seen unfolding on the silver-winged great snake's body. It wasn't without reason that it was called silver-winged great snake. A pair of wings allowed it to have the ability to fight in the air, and it was simply a battle tool that could be used in the air, land, and sea. Shuri was a bit confused. Why is my silver-winged great snake able to unfold its wings? This doesn't make sense. Furthermore, it seems like it is flying backwards. That's right now, the silver-winged great snake was indeed flying backwards. Its pair of huge wings were flapping crazily, and strong gales swept through the entire battlefield. Aya, don't run, suddenly. A young and tender voice rang out, and everyone heard it. However, after hearing it, everyone's expression changed greatly, and the cheers from just now immediately disappeared. The size of the silver-winged great snake was very big, and Kai Yun was just like a black dot in front of it. Furthermore, there was also a deep pit in front of it, and no one knew what was going on. But after hearing what Kai Yun said, everyone realized what was going on. This little girl is humiliating a great snake in front of everyone again. Why must you be so savage, to actually humiliate an innocent great snake? Doing such a thing will make people despise you. Right now, the silver-winged great snake's entire body was floating in the air, as if its head was stuck, and it was trying its best to struggle free. And it was even letting out a strange wail. Along with the silver-winged great snake floating in the air, the situation in the pit also appeared. Kai Yun could be seen grabbing onto the silver-winged great snake's teeth. With a smile on her face, she said, "Don't, I want to eat snake meat for breakfast." The silver-winged great snake seemed to be able to understand Kai Yun's words, and it flew backwards even more desperately. However, no matter how much strength it used, it was still tightly grabbed onto by the little girl. I'm recommending a book to a friend. You can't afford to offend this big uncle, so it's fine to leave a few comments. I've been very busy these few days, so there aren't many updates, but it will recover in the future. Thank you all for your support, and I also have to apologize. End of this chapter. Chapter 867. Everyone was shocked by this scene. The size of the silver-winged snake was huge, yet it was being held back by a smaller figure. This contrast was quite unbearable. It was like a salted fish holding back a moving aircraft carrier. This was an unscientific thing. How is this possible? Mu Xinhai involuntarily shouted. His face was filled with disbelief. This was a Dozun-level silver-winged snake, yet this little girl was able to hold it back. This silver-winged snake was struggling crazily, yet it was unable to move the little girl at all. Mu Xinhai, who was in shock, hurriedly turned around and looked at Fan Jin. Fan Jin's current shock was no less than Mu Xinhai's. In fact, it was even greater. However, seeing Mu Xinhai turn around, Fan Jin had no choice but to pretend to be calm. His expression immediately changed. Great God, Fan Jin, what do you think? There is nothing to be afraid of, Fan Jin said faintly. However, he was already cursing in his heart. Damn your, there is nothing to be afraid of. I have been tricked to death by you. Now, I don't even have the chance to escape. What kind of empire is this? It is even more terrifying than Broken Meridian Sect and Shen Academy. They are all perverts. Hearing Fan Jin's words, Mu Xinhai felt a lot more at ease. After all, these words represented the confidence of a peak Do Zun. Looks like I have invited the right person. When Shi Yu and Xiang Liren saw this scene, sweat flowed out from their foreheads. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were drenched in sweat. They couldn't help but look at the entire Wuxia empire. They thought to themselves, what kind of empire is this? Such a big thing happened, yet the city seems to be quiet. There is no sign of panic. Could it be that the people living in this city are all supremes? Otherwise, how can they be so calm? This is a Do Zun leading people to attack. Can you guys show some attitude? This will really hurt the confidence of a Do Zun. These two little girls are really too perverted. Xiang Liren couldn't help but say. That twin-tailed little girl was already very awesome. I didn't expect this one to be even more awesome. Just now, I thought that it was going to be over. Who knew that it wasn't like this? My worries are really unnecessary. Looks like my life is saved today. However, here comes the problem. There is still a peak Do Zun, Fan Jin. Would this voidless empire be able to handle it? Lai Gu shouted at Kai Yun, quickly drag it in, we will eat snake meat today. All right. Kai Yun said happily. Then, he took a step back and saw that the struggling silver-winged serpent was being pulled. The huge silver-winged serpent was actually being pulled. Everyone was lying. This was simply too easy. Look at that little girl's face. There was no other expression at all. It was as if she was pulling a dog. Silver-winged serpent. Attack! Shuri bellowed furiously. However, the silver-winged serpent was already in a state of panic. It simply couldn't hear Shi Yi's orders and flapped its wings fiercely. Kai Yun snorted. The little fellow is really disobedient. Little fellow? Everyone was thunderstruck by Yun Kai's words. Who would dare say that this silver-winged serpent was a small fellow? It was obviously a big fellow. It was long, thick, and very black. Anyone who saw it would be afraid. Shuri felt like she was going crazy. In her eyes, the silver-winged serpent had become a little fellow. Open your eyes! Shuri bellowed. The silver-winged serpent's third eye suddenly opened, and a terrifying pressure condensed. Under the terrifying pressure, even the ground trembled. However, this kind of trembling didn't spread into the city, as it was very well protected. Shiryu exclaimed, "This attack! It's very terrifying." That's right, this is the full power attack of a Do Zun. This little girl is going to die. Xiang Liren was also a bit lacking in confidence. After all, this was a silver-winged serpent. Kai Yun looked at the light beam that was currently condensing in front of her. She didn't pay attention to it at all and continued to retreat step by step. As more and more Do Qi condensed in the light beam grew, the entire air started to tremble. The enormous light beam illuminated Kai Yun's young and tender little face. Even now, she was still smiling. This made everyone very uncomfortable. Facing this kind of attack, can you be a bit more serious? Even if it's just withdrawing that smile, it's fine. You keep smiling, it feels as if you are just playing around. Can you be a bit more serious? The silver-winged serpent couldn't take it anymore. This little girl actually dared to humiliate it in front of everyone. This attack is going to send her to meet her father. Boom! The condensing was finally completed. A silver light beam shot out from its eyes. Bringing along a ferocious and surging evil aura, it attacked towards Kai Yun's body. Just this light beam alone was a lot bigger than Kai Yun's body. Kai Yun naturally saw it. However, his expression still didn't change, and with a young and tender smile on his face, he stretched out his hand and slapped. Pa! This slap felt as if it was slapped onto the faces of a million people. It hurt so much, however, what happened next caused everyone to be stupefied. Because Kai Yun slapped the light beam away with a single slap. Just like a V-shaped trajectory, this ferocious light beam directly flew towards the 10 battleships. Before that terrifying aura even reached the 10 battleships, a lot of people had already evaporated. Boom, boom, boom. The light beam could be seen directly passing through 2 battleships, but the battleships did not explode and directly flew towards the horizon. Because the battleships were completely unworthy of exploding. A single battleship had a total of 100,000 people. However, just a while ago, 200,000 people directly evaporated, and the battleships directly turned into fireballs and fell from the sky. Boom, boom. Two loud sounds suddenly rang out. Everyone didn't manage to react in time, and they were all stupefied. What happened just now? Mu Xinhai even rubbed his eyes, feeling that this is fake. The enemy must have used a hateful illusion. He actually directly slapped away such a terrifying attack. Furthermore, he even killed 200,000 of my disciples. This is fake. This is simply too fake. Fan Jin's entire person felt unwell. This little girl. This can already be confirmed. She is an overlord. That attack just now, even I am unable to slap away the attack. Even if I am able to slap away the attack, I would need to rely on tools to do so. However, how could this little girl have any tools? She just casually slapped away the attack. Without reaching the strength of an overlord, how is it possible for her to do that? It's over. I kicked an iron plate this time. Fan Jin only wants Mu Xinhai to not turn around and let me, Fan Jin, be depressed for a while. If not, I still have to put on an act for you to see. There must be something wrong with my brain to actually agree to such a thing. Right now, I have to think of a way to save myself. Xiang Liren was currently astonished and he mumbled, "This little girl most likely has the strength of an overlord." What? Overlord? Yu was shocked after hearing that. That's right, to directly slap away such a terrifying attack, only someone with respect would be able to do so. Xiang Liren said gravely, "If this little girl is an overlord, then the previous one might also be an overlord. Also, those who are standing on top of the city walls, it can't be that they are all overlords, right?" End of this chapter. Chapter 868. Just what kind of country is this voidless empire? Why are there so many honorable martial artists? Luckily, I managed to escape. Otherwise, I would definitely be dead today. At this moment, Yi was completely stunned. His silver-winged serpent's ultimate move had been slapped away, and even slapped into the group of battle arcs, instantly killing 200,000 disciples. The fire was still burning. This girl was too cruel. She didn't give them any hope. Release my snake. Yi unleashed the strength of a peak do di. A curved sword agglomerated in his hand. It should be a snake blade. Kai Yun, who was in the midst of shedding her snake, snorted. "You're very annoying. I haven't even eaten breakfast yet." Dai. Yi, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, pointed his sword at Kai Yun's forehead. Kai Yun suddenly whispered, "You should still have snakes in your clothes, right? You might as well take them out and let me roast them and eat them." Arrogant. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death. One could see the snake blade in Yi's hand emitting an intense glow. It involuntarily caused one to raise one's hand to block it. This peak of the Do Di class was no joke. Kai Yun once again extended his small hand, slapping the silver-winged serpent's head. The silver-winged serpent, which had been struggling violently, was stunned, and its huge body fell to the ground with a loud bang. Then, Kai Yun looked towards the oncoming Yi with a mocking gaze. When Yi met Kai Yun's gaze, he instantly had a bad feeling. However, right at this moment, a voice rang out by his ear. "Is there really a snake in your sleeve?" Yi suddenly turned his head and found that the little girl was on the same level as him. That's not right. Wasn't it in front? How did it end up beside him? Without waiting for Yi to react, Kai Yun grabbed onto Yi's arm. Then he pulled. Ah! Yi let out a blood-curdling scream as he fell to the ground. Meanwhile, when Kai Yun grabbed onto Yi's arm and shook it, he discovered that there was absolutely no snake within Yi's sleeve. That's not right. All the snakes came out from his sleeves. Where are the snakes? Where did he go? Kai Yun casually swung Yi's arm, and Yi's arm fell to the side. Is he hiding at the other side? Stingy. Petty? Everyone was shocked by Kai Yun's brutality. Tearing the arm of a peak Do Di was something that had never been seen before. After all, who would tear the arm of a Do Di, other than this little girl? He had actually torn off the arm of a Do Di while he was still alive. He even said that others were stingy. Then, if someone were to be generous, would you tear their entire body apart? Mu Xinhai swallowed his saliva. This Shi was at the peak of the Do D class. He already had half a foot in the Do Zun class. Was it so easy to break his arm? It was obviously not that simple, but this girl actually did it. She pulled it off alive. Mu Xinhai turned around. Fan Jin's shocked expression changed instantly, and he looked as if he had a card up his sleeve. When Mu Xinhai saw Fan Jin's expression, he felt much more at ease. He still had a super strong helper, and he would definitely be able to kill off the experts from Wuxia Empire. Then, he would kill those two traitors with his own hands. Fan Jin really wanted to hide. He really didn't want to think about anything else. Upon seeing this scene, Shiyu's heart almost stopped. I had thought that this girl was a cute girl, but I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that. This girl was actually even more savage than the previous girl. Xiang Liren didn't want to speak anymore. If he hadn't flown out, he might have ended up like Shi. Fortunately, he was smart. Fortunately, the heavens are protecting me. Lai Gu looked at Kai Yun with a smile. After Kai Yun leaves, I will definitely be the one to go on stage. This is great. After all, there aren't many experts left on the other side, and the remaining experts are all salted fishes that don't have any skills. Wait, these experts don't seem to have any skills. They are all helping His Honor to share his worries. That is the responsibility of a subordinate. Let His Honor have a good rest. Let me, Lai Gu, take care of these salted fishes. Suddenly, Lai Gu heard footsteps coming from the stairs again. Why is there someone else coming again? Can't you let me, Lai Gu, act cool for a bit? As the footsteps got closer and closer, Lai Gu swallowed his saliva. Listening to the footsteps, it should be a female. Who could it be? Could it be Brett? Please don't let it be Brett. I love this kind of scene the most. Don't. Hubby, you are here. Did you see the flagmaster? Yu Hua could be seen walking over while wearing a blue robe. Lai Gu let out a breath. Damn it, I was scared to death. Quickly bring your flagmaster away. Who are those people? Yu Hua looked towards the sky and asked curiously. Lai Gu hugged onto Yu Hua's willowy waist. Hubby, quickly bring your flagmaster away. She is tearing apart other people, look. Yu Hua didn't mind Lai Gu's intimate action. Looking down from the city wall, my flagmaster is really tearing apart other people. However, I don't have any other thoughts. Flagmaster, time to go home and eat. Yu Hua shouted towards Kai Yun. Right now, Kai Yun was currently holding onto Shi's other arm. Suddenly he heard Yu Hua's voice and looked towards the city wall, then shouted out sweetly. I know, we are going to eat snake this morning. Look here, what a big snake. Oh, then Flagmaster. Hurry up. All right, let me see if he is still hiding any other snakes or not. Kai Yun smiled sweetly then tore apart. Ah! Shi's mind was about to collapse. A dignified peak stage Do Emperor, was actually dismembered by a little girl in front of everyone's eyes. Impossible. How did it become like this? Shouldn't the normal plot be me and the others attacking Wuxia Empire, then killing people? Why did I get killed instead? This is simply a nightmare. Hearing the conversation between the little girl and the woman on the city wall, the remaining people felt that they had gone crazy. Such a cruel scene, and you all actually still have the mood to chat and talk about eating breakfast. Just what kind of people are these people? Suddenly, I thought of something. The woman on the city wall seemed to have told the little girl to go home and eat. Quickly go back, listen to your mother. Go home and eat. Children shouldn't get involved in the matters of adults. This is not right. In the future, don't act recklessly, and even more so, don't casually tear apart other people's arms and legs. Remember, this is a bad child. At this moment, Kai Yun shook his sleeves and asked curiously, just where are you hiding your snakes? Why aren't there any inside your sleeves? Right now, both of Shi's arms were missing, a large amount of blood was flowing out from his wounds, and his entire face was deathly pale. I was humiliated, and she didn't want to kill me, she was instead looking for snakes. Why would I have such a thought? If you want snakes, just say it, I have a lot of them. Why did you tear apart my arms just because of a disagreement? Can't you have a proper conversation? Aya, it couldn't have slipped into your pants, right? Kai Yun cried out in surprise, then stretched out his hand and grabbed onto Shi's thigh. End of this chapter. Chapter 869. Before Shi could speak, he felt a pain in his thigh. Such a cruel scene made everyone uncomfortable. This was an amputation in front of everyone. Everyone felt a chill on their backs. This scene was really shocking. That was an expert at the peak of the Do-D class. Yet, he had been tortured to death. Do-Zhas and Do-Shis like them were not even enough to fill the gap between their teeth. Kai Yun, who was in the middle of the battlefield, shook his head and realized that there were no snakes. He pursed his lips and reached out to grab the other leg. No! Shi shouted in a deep voice. He had no other choice. This little girl was too strong, so strong that he could not resist. Where are your snakes hidden? In your head? Kai Yun asked curiously. He reached out to grab his head. This scared Shi so much that he almost *T himself. He could think of a way if he lost his limbs, but if he lost his head, there was really no way. No. Then they are on my leg. No. Then where are they? Kai Yun asked curiously. My home. I still have many at home. When the time comes, I'll give them all to you, okay? Shi begged for mercy. He did not dare to boast anymore. He regretted jumping down. Look at Yang Yao. He had died so easily. He had been killed with one punch without any pain. Look at himself. He had been humiliated in front of everyone and had his leg amputated. Don't think that Kai Yun did not know anything. As the boss of the 5 flags, Kai Yun's cruelty was outrageous. His favorite thing to do was to tear people apart while they were still alive. Looking at Yu Hua on the city tower, she did not stop him because she knew Kai Yun's hobby. Humph, you lied to me. You lied to me to go to your home. You're so bad. After Kai Yun finished speaking, he grabbed his remaining leg. Ah! A painful cry resounded between heaven and earth. This was the painful cry of a Do-D. At this moment, Mu Xinhai was frozen. This was the first time he had seen such a cruel little girl. She could be compared to the demons from 10 years ago. She was simply inhumane. Fan Jin had already closed his eyes, looking as if he could not see anything and did not want to see anything. Still nothing. You liar. I hate liars the most. Kai Yun snorted delicately and grabbed the snake blade beside him. As a peak Do-D, Shi was still alive. It was just very painful. However, his entire body was suppressed and he was unable to move at all. Only now did he realize how powerful this little girl was. Their strength was simply not on the same level. It must be in your body, right? Little liar. Do you think I don't know? Kai Yun grinned, but in Shi's eyes, this grin was a terrifying, sinister grin. No. I won't lie to you. Please don't hurt me. Hee. Kai Yun held the serpent blade in his hand and gently sliced open Shi's robe. He didn't expect Shi to have muscles. Everyone held their breaths. With such a thing happening, no one dared to rush down to save him. This was the intimidation that came from Kai Yun, and he was much stronger than Yi Zizi. At the very least, his method of killing made one's scalp go numb. Kai Yun held the serpent blade in his hand and pressed it against Shi's Adam's apple. It's definitely inside your body, and I've discovered it, right? No! Kai Yun revealed a young and tender smile, directly stabbing in, and then slicing open. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Ripper! An expert at the peak of the Emperor realm had his limbs amputated and then his chest cut open in front of everyone. This wasn't a little girl. This was a savage demon. You couldn't bear to watch anymore and directly turned around. Meanwhile, although Xiang Liren was still watching, his gaze revealed an expression of shock. This was truly the first time he had seen such a scene, and the degree of shock was incomparable. Then, he looked at the man and woman on the city wall. That man was hugging the woman and looking at the scene with a smile, not showing the slightest bit of disgust. Meanwhile, that woman was the same, appearing to be very calm. F***ck. Just who are these people? Why can they be so cruel to such an extent? However, Xiang Liren was also thinking that if Voidless Empire couldn't do it, then the cruelty would fall on them, and even on him. After all, this was a place where strength reigned supreme. The people who were originally clamoring all quietened down. Cold wind whistled on the battlefield. Kai Yun took a glance and said, there's nothing at all. Liar. I'm not playing with you anymore. Kai Yun directly tossed away the serpent blade and walked to the side, dragging the silver-winged great snake. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. Crimson Soul Fire. Kai Yun shouted out sweetly, and golden flames emitted from both of his hands. These weren't mystical flames, but they were more than enough to roast the silver-winged great snake. The golden flames instantly enveloped the silver-winged great snake's body, and the armor turned red from the heat, then melted in the end. A fragrance gradually drifted in the air. This was the fragrance of snake meat. Kai Yun was already swallowing his saliva. Shi, who was lying on the ground, had yet to die, but he could still smell the fragrance of snake meat. She actually roasted my own snake. That was a silver-winged great snake that I had raised for several hundred years. Just like my own child, it was actually roasted alive right now. Pfff. A mouthful of blood spurted out from Shi's mouth. Kai Yun could see that the heart was beating intensely, and then it became slower and slower, then finally stopped. However, a golden ball flew out from the center of Shi's brows. Primordial Spirit. Kai Yun naturally saw it. It sure ran fast. Kai Yun could be seen pouting, then fiercely inhaled. The primordial spirit that was running away was instantly sucked back by a strong suction force. Shi's primordial spirit could be seen struggling crazily. However, it was completely useless. It entered Kai Yun's small mouth. Kai Yun licked the corner of his mouth. The taste is not bad. Let's go and eat snake meat. Kai Yun directly dragged the silver-winged great snake back to the city. Everyone just watched like this. Gradually, the tail of the silver-winged great snake disappeared at the city gate. However, the city gate was still open. Mu Xinhai seemed to have understood something. They didn't care at all. On the battlefield, Shi's corpse was still on the spot. Everyone had yet to react and were still immersed in shock. Mu Xinhai turned his head again and actually saw Fan Jin resting with his eyes closed. He was a little more at ease. As expected of a great god. Even I am shocked, but he doesn't panic at all. He doesn't even care to look at me anymore. As expected of Fan Jin, an existence at the peak of the Dozun class. I have to properly learn from this calmness. Why did this little girl leave? Shiryu asked curiously. Shouldn't they continue fighting? Xiang Liren sighed. Let's go back and eat breakfast. Could it be that eating breakfast is really so important? I don't think we need to eat breakfast. Shiryu couldn't understand. Why didn't Xiang Liren take advantage of his victory and continue attacking? There is still a peak of the Dozun class here. If you are a Zun, you should continue fighting. Why eat breakfast? Oh my god, on the city gate tower, Yuhua smiled and said, Hubby, I will go down first. You can slowly play by yourself. End of this chapter. Chapter 870. Alright, don't tell others. Yuhua laughed lightly. Alright, I won't tell others. After saying that, she even kissed Lai Gu's cheek. This made Lai Gu very happy. Yuhua is really a good woman. I like her more and more. She is too sensible. After Yuhua left, the smile on Lai Gu's face gradually disappeared and he stared at everyone. That match just now doesn't count. Everyone. After Shiryu and Xiang Liren heard it, they didn't have any emotions. Such a person, you can play however you want, it's still up to you. On the other hand, the remaining 800,000 people were all quiet. Everyone had a deep fear, especially when they saw the corpse of the Dodi. They felt that it was so unreal. A peak Dodi was toyed to death just like that. A Dodi was toyed to death. Everyone couldn't accept such a fact. Could it be that all Dodi are made of paper? Are they so easy to bully? Hey, why aren't you guys talking? Show me some spirit, let me get excited. Lai Gu shouted again. Just 2 matches and everyone is scared. This won't do. If you guys are scared, then what am I going to do? It's all Yi Zizi and Kai Yun's fault. These 2 little girls scared people to the point of peeing. Don't they know how to act? Let them feel that there's hope, then it'll be interesting to fight like this. Although they are very weak, there's still something to play with. I'm so bored that my balls are about to break. Hey, don't leave the stage cold. Quickly send the next one up. Lai Gu shouted loudly, it's finally my turn. I'm so excited. I feel that my life has reached the climax. Facing Lai Gu's shout, Mu Xinhai didn't know how to reply. He felt that if he said it out, he would definitely be slapped. What should I do now? I still have to ask for help from Fan Jin, who is behind me. There's no other way. I can only rely on Fan Jin to win this match. If not, I'll lose all my face. Thinking until here, Mu Xinhai turned his head and looked at Fan Jin, who was resting with his eyes closed, then softly shouted, "Fan Jin, why don't?" Before Mu Xinhai could finish his sentence, Fan Jin's eyes snapped open. A vast aura came out from those eyes. This was a huge battle intent. Mu Xinhai could feel that this was the anger of a peak Do Zun. All of you have already provoked a ferocious Do Zun. He would definitely receive the fury of a Do Zun. Today, this Wuxia Empire would turn into a raging fire that would burn for 3 days and 3 nights. Everyone would be buried with him. Great God Fan Jin, I'll be counting on you from now on. Mu Xinhai said in a low voice. Fan Jin did not say anything and slowly walked in front of Mu Xinhai. Looking at Fan Jin straight back, Mu Xinhai heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, they managed to invite God Fan Jin over this time. Otherwise, things would have been difficult. This voidless empire actually had such a character. Just how powerful was the man standing on the city gate tower? Right now, Lin Fan still did not know. Also, he did not know how strong that woman from earlier was. How many more people like her were there in the voidless empire? It was only at this moment that Mu Xinhai realized that he truly did not know anything at all. He did not know anything about the voidless empire at all, and then he charged over right away. He lacked information. Actually, in Mu Xinhai's eyes, no matter how strong an empire could have, they would at most be Do Shi. The slightly better ones would be Do Wang and Do Huang. Therefore, he was not worried at all. In the end, a peak Do Zong on his side was shattered with a single punch. There was also a peak Do Di who was directly amputated. Even his primordial spirit was devoured. This was too terrifying. If it was possible, Mu Xinhai wanted to retreat. However, 200,000 of his disciples had died. If he were to retreat now, he would become the laughingstock of the northern region. He could not afford to bear the consequences. Right now, he could only rely on Great God Fan Jin. When Xiang Liren and Shi Yu saw Fan Jin standing out, their gazes gradually became solemn. Looks like they were going to play their cards, and they even used their king. Fan Jin has stepped out. I'm afraid that the voidless empire will have to treat this seriously. Shi Yu said quietly. This Fan Jin is a peak Do Zun. He is not on the same level as this Shi. If the voidless empire wishes to win, they must send out a Ji Zun. If there is no Ji Zun, it would be hard to say. Xiang Liren said in a deep voice. He was a little worried. The main reason was that the girl who loved to eat breakfast had left. Otherwise, he would not be worried. The strength that the little girl had displayed earlier was at least that of a Ji Zun. She would definitely be able to fight against Fan Jin. However, she ran away to eat breakfast. You guys are in danger of having your city destroyed. Yet you ran away just like that. You guys don't have any sense of responsibility at all. Also, the Emperor of the Voidless Empire. He has already fought his way to our doorstep, yet he still hasn't appeared. At the very least, he should have come out to take a look at the situation. What is this? Attacking the city, defending the city. This is simply child's play. Is this Fan Jin really that powerful? Shi Yu asked doubtfully. She did not understand. Xiang Liren laughed softly. This Fan Jin has reached the peak of the Do Zun class a long time ago. Regardless of whether it is in terms of combat experience or other aspects, he can be considered a pseudo Ji Zun. Therefore, only a Ji Zun can win. If it is an ordinary peak Do Zun, it is likely that they will not be able to defeat Fan Jin. So that is the case. In that case, we will have to see who the Voidless Empire sends out. Shi Yu's gaze landed on the city gate tower. Will they send out a powerful Ji Zun? Aya, why would I have such a terrifying thought? Ji Zun are not cabbages that can be found on the streets. How can there be so many of them? At this moment, Fan Jin looked towards the man on the city gate tower and shouted out gravely. Is there something that you did not tell me? Hearing Fan Jin's words, everyone became doubtful. What is going on? Is this a declaration before a battle? Why does it feel so strange? Mu Xinhai felt that a god is a god. Even the declaration before a battle is different from others. Even I am unable to guess it. Lai Gu was a little confused. What did I not tell him? What does he mean? Oi, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Lai Gu asked back. Fan Jin shouted out again. What is that over there? Fan Jin could be seen pointing towards the spectator seats. Lai Gu said confusedly, that is the spectator seats. But why don't I know? Is it because I came late? You guys are too unreasonable. Fan Jin rebuked angrily. You guys are simply too shameless. I came here halfway. You guys should at least inform me and let me make a choice, right? Fan Jin's words caused everyone to be a little stupefied, especially Mu Xinhai. He felt that his brain was a little unable to react. Xiang Liren and Sure you were also the same. What is this Fan Jin planning to do? Why did he suddenly talk about the spectator seats? End of this chapter. Chapter 871. Lai Gu was a little speechless. What is this person trying to do? He even has the mood to chat. Fan Jin's heart sank when he saw that the other party did not speak. The only thing that can save me now is the audience seats. Be it losing face or being mocked by others, life is the most important thing. Then what do you want to do? Lai Gu asked. Say it again. Lai Gu was helpless and said indifferently. All right, seeing that you don't know what is going on, I will say it again. The audience seats are the audience, I will not hurt you, give. Before Lai Gu could finish his words, Fan Jin's silhouette had already disappeared. In an instant, he appeared beside Sure Yu. His speed was so fast that it made people speechless. This was probably the speed of a peak do zun or even faster. Lai Gu's mouth twitched. Damn it! I got tricked. Mu Xinhai opened his mouth wide. The god that he believed in actually ran to the audience seats. And he did it at such a fast speed. Do other people know that you are so outstanding? To actually be in cahoots with some traitors, if this matter were to spread, how are you going to survive in the north? There were still very few people who knew Fan Jin's identity. At least in the eyes of those 800,000 people. He was another deserter. But for some reason, they were very envious. They really wanted to be an audience. Just standing there would be danger at any moment. Just like those two battleships just now, before the people inside could react, they turned into air and disappeared. Who knows what will happen later? Sure Yu and Xiang Liren were also very shocked. A legendary person actually stood together with them. They suddenly realized that they were not embarrassed anymore. Instead, they were very proud. Because there were only 3 smart people among the 1 million people. Even if they lost face, there was still a peak do zun accompanying them. How comfortable it was. I am an audience. Fan Jin said indifferently. I am definitely going to be an audience. No one can drag me away. No matter who pleads for me, it will be useless. Luckily, I ran away quickly just now, giving the other party no chance to retort. In front of so many people, you will probably feel embarrassed to go back on your words. It was really scary just now. My speed reached a peak value. As expected, only fear can stimulate my potential. Actually, Sure Yu was very excited now. Standing beside him was a peak do di and a peak do zun. The most glorious moment of his life had appeared. Mu Xinhai's chest started heaving up and down. He had never thought that even Fan Jin would choose to be a spectator. Fan Jin, why did you do that? Mu Xinhai asked in a deep voice. He really couldn't understand. Could it be that he had been frightened by the other party? But you are a pseudo-sovereign. As long as the opponent does not have a sovereign, you will still have the upper hand. Fan Jin looked at Mu Xinhai and shouted, You're asking me why? I was dragged here by you without knowing anything. You're trying to frame me. How dare you try to plunder such a magnificent empire? I, Fan Jin, despise people like you, and will never associate myself with you. Please don't talk to me anymore, because you're not worthy. Mu Xinhai's entire person was in a bad mood. This Fan Jin was actually anxious to draw a clear line between them. Simply shameless. Back then, when you were injured, didn't I help you? If it weren't for me, I'm afraid you would have died. Such a life-saving favor was actually abandoned at this time. Scum. What a scumbag. She was even more of a scumbag than that little girl. This is a hypocrite. Today, I finally saw it clearly. If I knew that this day would come, I wouldn't have saved him back then. I should have just let him die on the spot. Look at how hypocritical he is. He doesn't even have the intention to humiliate me, and he even has an upright and plain-spoken expression. Mu Xinhai felt that his lungs were going to explode from anger. Right now, Lai Gu was also feeling the same. I was still too honest, and I was actually tricked. But luckily, among these people, that boss is still here. Later on, I'll just play with boss for a bit, and then I'll smoothly end this battle. This is really a little boring. Originally, I still wanted to play with this expert, but in the end, he ran to the spectator seats. He's really too cowardly. Opposite. Now, only you are left, come and fight. Lai Gu shouted towards Mu Xinhai. Let us fight to our heart's content. To be able to die under my sharp claws, that's also your happiness. Mu Xinhai was also a proud person. Although Fan Jin ran away, he didn't give in at all. Instead, the flames in his chest continued to rise by quite a bit. His body trembled. Mu Xinhai directly descended, clenched his fist and shouted, Yuan Yang Manor will definitely win. Following Mu Xinhai's words, the disciples behind him immediately followed along and shouted loudly. Yuan Yang Manor will definitely win. Yuan Yang Manor will definitely win. Yuan Yang Manor will definitely win. The powerful voice soared into the clouds, seeming so high. The originally low morale was instantly ignited, and everyone's blood started to boil. This is the Manor Master. He is the soul of their hearts. How can they not be excited? I feel that as long as the Manor Master steps out, no matter how powerful the person is, they will have to kick the bucket. Lai Gu admired this Manor Master for daring to come down even now. On the other hand, that person who ran away just now is really trash. He doesn't have the imposing manner of a Manor Master at all. I have to give you a look of disdain. However, this Fan Jin is quite smart. Knowing that he can't win, he chose to save himself. Forget it, I'll just treat it as releasing a dog. It won't cause any huge waves. Who knows? I might even be able to publicize Wuxia Empire's battle achievements. Suddenly, Lai Gu heard footsteps coming from the stairs. His entire body darkened. It's here again. Who exactly is it? Could it be that Yu Hua called me to go and eat breakfast? Didn't I say just now, don't disturb me from acting cool, this is the last time. Lai Gu looked towards his right side, and a beautiful figure appeared. Furthermore, it's the woman that I don't want to see the most, Brett, who was still carrying Ju Tian in his embrace. Lai Gu squeezed out a smile and said, That Brett, what are you doing here? Oh, Yu Hua called you to go and eat breakfast, so she asked me to come over and take a look. Brett said faintly as she stroked Ju Tian with her slender hands. Ju Tian squinted his eyes and had a look of enjoyment on his face. Lai Gu immediately covered his face. Yu Hua, what are you doing? In my Lai Gu's heart, you are a very sensible woman, to actually ask me to go and eat breakfast. I am a bone dragon. Is there really a need for me to care about breakfast? Lai Gu smiled and said, I will go after a while, settle this place first. No need, leave this place to me. Brett felt that it had been a long time since he last fought, and these people in front of him can be of some use. Let me do it. Girls shouldn't fight and kill. Ju Tian doesn't like it either. Lai Gu hurriedly persuaded. Can you guys not be like this? Please give me a chance. End of chapter. Chapter 872. Meow. Ju Tian looked at Lai Gu covetously, seemingly saying, Quickly go and eat your breakfast, my woman wants to move around. Lai Gu felt deep despair. If it was someone else, I can still give an order, but these people are the only ones that I cannot afford to offend. All right, Brett, pay attention to your face. Lai Gu still reminded. Got it. How could Brett not know? Back then, I was in my human form. Those who saw me before would definitely be able to recognize me. Lai Gu took one last look at those people, then went downstairs with reluctance. The entire street was filled with silver-winged snakes, and countless people came over with knives to eat the snake meat while shouting, Long live the Emperor. Lai Gu quickly found Yu Hua. Hubby, why did you come back? Are you done settling everything? Kai Yun and Yu Hua could be seen enjoying delicious food with a comfortable look on their faces. When Lai Gu heard this, he knew that he was fooled again. You bunch of trapdogs, don't let me catch you next time. I'll trap you all to death. Sure, you and Xiang Liren were a bit confused. Why did that man go down? And then, a woman carrying a cat appeared. This woman looks weak and soft. Could it be that she wants to fight? Just as the two finished thinking, Brett carried Ju Tian and descended down from the city gate tower. Dressed in a red cheongsam with a slit, paired with a pair of red high heels and a bun, Brett was simply incomparably beautiful. The first two were little girls, and everyone only saw them as underage children, but this woman, that's a mature woman. Look at that slit on her pants, that white skin, seems like it's very stimulating. I really want to go and lick it. Sure, you asked Fan Jin, who was at the side. Great God, Fan Jin, how powerful do you think this woman is? Is she Mu Xinhai's opponent? Fan Jin let out a light sigh, then said slowly, Did you two not notice? Did the surrounding space get sealed? When the two heard Fan Jin's words, their expressions sunk, and they immediately went to feel. Indeed, it was just like what Fan Jin said, the surrounding space got sealed, even a small tadpole can't crawl out. Then we. Xiang Liren muttered. His gaze was filled with astonishment. We don't even know when the surrounding space got sealed. Isn't this strength a little too terrifying? Fan Jin said in a deep voice, Our lives are in the hands of this void empire. Since the great god had already said it like this, Xiang Liren and sure you didn't say anything anymore. Originally, I came here today to trample on voidless empire, but now. Yet, my life is in the hands of Wuxia empire. Even if I'm standing on the spectator seats, I still don't feel very safe. Because who knew if they would keep their word? Is there no way to save myself? Xiang Liren asked with a trace of despair. He felt that voidless empire would not let him off. No matter what, they were here to kill, so how could the other party let them go? In the beginning, they were just watching him make a fool of himself and trying to dampen the morale of this side. Hopefully, praying to the heavens would still work. Ha! Where are the four women from before? Sure, you suddenly let out a sound of doubt, mainly because when he saw Brett being so beautiful, he suddenly thought of the woman that night. However, neither Fan Jin nor Xiang Liren knew about this. What woman? Fan Jin asked in a low voice. He wanted to know what kind of existence this Wuxia empire was. Oh, you two still don't know about this matter. It was during the night a few days ago, when we were fighting over the strange fire. Sure, you told them about what happened. After listening to what happened, Fan Jin and Xiang Liren's brows tightly locked together. Why do I feel like I fell into someone else's trap? That man in the wheelchair is not simple at all. Fan Jin didn't even think about the matter regarding the strange fire, and he only felt that that man was very terrifying. Xiang Liren said gravely, That's right, from what you said, that man's strength is most likely the strongest. I feel like he is trying to lure Yuanyang Manor over here. But what is his purpose? Sure, you didn't understand. Fan Jin paused for a moment, then said faintly, Yuanyang Manor came to Voidless Empire today. I'm afraid that half of the northern region knows about it, because this news was spread by Mu Xinhai himself. And this Voidless Empire is located in a place like Northern Liang, and they lack the recognition of the outside world. Xiang Liren said casually. The three's eyes immediately lit up. They seemed to have understood Voidless Empire's purpose. Sure, you said gravely, this Voidless Empire is trying to use Yuanyang Manor to make a name for themselves. Fan Jin and Xiang Liren didn't speak. If they didn't guess wrongly, that should be the reason. If that was really the case, the three looked at the remaining 800,000 disciples. I'm afraid that not a single one of them would be able to leave here alive today. And this Mu Xinhai didn't know anything at all, and he just brought his men and rushed over here. But this Mu Xinhai couldn't be blamed for being impulsive. Both of his protectors had died. No matter what, he had to take revenge. And it just so happened that he discovered that this voidless empire was very good. That's killing two birds with one stone. If it's possible, I really want to go in and take a look. Fan Jin said faintly. He was filled with curiosity towards Voidless Empire. What kind of empire was this exactly? On the battlefield, Brett carried Ju Tian and looked at Mu Xinhai, who wasn't far away. Just now, when he carried Ju Tian out for a stroll, he saw that there was a huge snake on the street, and everyone was eating snake meat. After asking Kai Yun about it, he directly walked up the city gate tower and sent Lai Gu away. After all, it had been a long time since he last exercised. His body was about to become rusty. Although this person in front of him was very weak, at least he could still exercise a little. Mu Xinhai looked at the woman in front of him. His expression was rather heavy. What strength this woman has, I don't know. What is that cat in her arms? I don't know. What kind of weapon does this woman have? I don't know. I don't even know about the entire Voidless Empire. I was really too careless this time. I shouldn't have rushed over so anxiously, at the very least. I should have investigated first. Be good, sit on my shoulder, Brett said gently as he kissed Ju Tian, who was in his embrace. Ju Tian let out a lazy moan, then squatted on Brett's shoulder and looked at Mu Xinhai, who was in front of him with a bored expression. Brett didn't have any good impressions of people. In her eyes, these people were all ants under the heavens. Whether they were alive or dead, it made no difference to Brett. Therefore, since these people dared to come, there was no need for them to return. Mu Xinhai locked onto Brett tightly, and 2 blades actually appeared in his hands. Scarlet flame blades. It was an extremely rare primordial godly item. After all, it was a pair of blades, and normally, there would only be 1 blade. Furthermore, these scarlet flame blades were emitting out a faint red glow, and it seemed like they had been tempered 5 times already. Mu Xinhai held onto the scarlet flame blades in his hands tightly, and he felt a sense of confidence growing from the bottom of his heart. What are you guys here for? Brett asked faintly. Mu Xinhai was a bit puzzled. Is there even a need to ask? I am here to massacre the city. Mu Xinhai didn't avoid the topic and directly spoke out his purpose. End of this chapter. Chapter 873. Brett chuckled. Massacre the city? I really miss the days of massacring cities. It's a pity that you guys can't be here. Don't even think about doing it. Mu Xinhai waved the scarlet flame dual blades in his hands, releasing arcs of light. Puff! A ferocious wave of air swept out, causing Brett's Cheongsam to flutter. Those shining white thighs were really enough to make one drool. However, only the cat on his shoulder dared to play with this pair of legs. After all, Brett's temper was not very good, and he would lose his temper easily. Just like now, he was a little unhappy. Whether you can do it or not will depend on your ability. As the sound of his voice faded, a powerful aura erupted from Mu Xinhai. It spread out in all directions, and even the sky stopped snowing. The clouds gradually dispersed, and sunlight shone on the earth. Brett said indifferently, My ability is not something you can hope for. I'm afraid you can't bear it. As soon as he finished speaking, an aquamarine bow formed in Brett's hand. This bow was Brett's true weapon. Profound rainbow treasured moon. A top-notch primordial artifact, not a third-rate primordial artifact. Speaking of this bow, there was a story behind it. The owner of this bow was Brett's sister. Back then, absolute heaven had saved Brett. In the end, Brett had killed his own sister, and this weapon had also fallen into Brett's hands. Actually, this bow was given to Brett, but it was snatched away by his sister. When the profound rainbow treasured moon appeared, Mu Xinhai's aura vanished without a trace. The entire world was suppressed by the profound rainbow treasured moon in Brett's hands, causing everyone to tremble. This was a primordial divine weapon. They were not on the same level at all. You. Prehistoric divine artifact. Mu Xinhai asked blankly, his eyes filled with shock. At least you have some foresight. Brett's right hand was already on the bowstring. To be precise, there was no bowstring, but when Brett touched it, a strand of hair appeared. Moreover, when they came into contact, a wave of righteous chi suddenly erupted, sweeping through the entire scene. The oppressive atmosphere made everyone feel as if their hearts were about to explode. Was this the pressure of an ancient divine artifact? Mu Xinhai arched his body slightly. It wasn't that he wanted to, but that he couldn't bear it. He couldn't resist it at all. Even Fan Jin, who was standing far away, could clearly feel it. Is this a primeval artifact? Xiang Liren murmured. Although Fan Jin didn't say anything, he looked at the bow with a complicated expression. There was envy, jealousy, and yearning. It would be great if he could have a primordial divine weapon. Sure Yu's entire body froze. This time, he really froze. He was suppressed by this aura to the point that he couldn't move. Ancient Era Divine Weapon. This was actually the legendary Ancient Era Divine Weapon. What the hell was up with this voidless empire? They even had something like a great desolate divine equipment, and it was even held by a woman. Just now, those two little girls didn't even reveal their weapons. Does it mean that they don't have any weapons? Or do they also have ancient divine weapons? The shock brought about by Void Empire was too intense. Brett slowly drew his bow, and a destructive aura condensed on the profound rainbow treasure moon. The entire world shook, and everyone fell into a momentary daze. This was the passive ability of the profound rainbow treasure moon. It was truly impossible to defend against. Even the Do Zun Mu Xinhai was absent-minded. As Brett loosened his grip, a green arrow flew out. The speed was so fast that no one was able to catch it. The air seemed to have been scorched, and the beautiful green arrow was intoxicating. However, the arrow carried the color of death. Mu Xinhai could see that the arrow was flying toward him. He wanted to raise his hands to block it, but it was as if his hands were being held by someone, and he was unable to raise them at all. Facing a great desolate divine equipment, I actually don't even have the chance to resist. How is this possible? The green arrow flew past Mu Xinhai's face. Although it didn't touch Mu Xinhai's face, a trace of blood had still appeared on Mu Xinhai's face. The arrow was flying toward one of the battleships. Boom! The arrow instantly penetrated through the defense of the battleship and exploded within the battleship. The huge battleship turned into a fireball in the sky, and the surrounding temperature instantly rose. Bang! The fireball smashed onto the ground and ignited a raging fire. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of people disappeared. Mu Xinhai finally felt that strength had returned to his body, and this was the strength that came from anger. Brett didn't say anything and drew his bow once again. Mu Xinhai instantly felt that his strength was being sucked dry again. If you have the guts, come at me. Mu Xinhai shouted at Brett. Brett said coldly, when you chose to come, you had already dragged them into hell. I am only completing my mission, but you have failed. I will bear all the consequences. Why did you kill my disciples? Because I am happy. After Brett finished speaking, another arrow was shot out. Boom! Dazzling sparks bloomed in the sky, and another 100,000 people died. Mu Xinhai was completely stunned. If this was a battle between two armies, it would be acceptable if there were casualties on both sides. However, this wasn't the case at all. This was a complete massacre. Using a great desolate divine equipment to kill some Do Shi and a Do Shi. You vicious woman, you will die a horrible death. Mu Xinhai cussed angrily. Are you vicious or am I vicious? You have already fought your way to my doorstep. Don't tell me you want me to lay down my weapons and surrender, and let you slaughter the commoners? As Brett's words fell, he drew his bow once again. When the people on the battleship saw this, they all knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Everyone's face was filled with fear and the desire to live. Some of them even begged bitterly. Don't kill me. We are only obeying the prefecture master's orders. Let me go, I will be married next month. I will be a father next month. However, Brett could not hear these words. Before you want to kill others, you should be prepared to be killed. Brett's hand loosened. Bayou. Boom. Another battleship was set ablaze. Brett looked as if she was shooting at a target, appearing very relaxed. However, to Mu Xinhai, this woman was a killing maniac. Each arrow took away 100,000 lives, and those were all Yuan Yang residents' disciples. It was all his power. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Brett laughed coldly. One-on-one? Do you have the right? You can't even block one arrow. Bayou. Another arrow. Boom. Just like that, Fan Jin and the other two could only watch on as Brett killed them with arrow after arrow. This sort of method was simply hair-raising. After all, each arrow killed 100,000 people. No matter how ruthless she would not be able to do this. However, this woman did not have the slightest bit of pity, and even seemed to be enjoying this moment. What exactly had cultivated this woman, and the cat on her shoulder? That expression was so human-like, and it was even yawning out of boredom. Mu Xinhai had no strength left to kneel on the ground. He did not even have time to unleash a single move before he knelt in front of Brett. End of this chapter. Chapter 874. Me. Mu Xinhai. Yuan Yong Manor's manor master is begging you. Let my disciple go, you can take my life. Mu Xinhai shouted. He was a courageous person. In order to save his own disciple, he was willing to sacrifice his life. This made Fan Jin admire him a little. Xiang Liren and Shi Yu were the same. This woman made a Do Zhu kneel down and beg for mercy. Her goal was achieved. However, this wasn't Brett's goal. Those who dared to cause trouble in Wuxia Empire should be prepared to die. Is his honor's territory a place where you can come and go as you please? Then you are too daring. If his honor was here, your death would be called hopeless. I am just giving you a quick death. Brett ignored Mu Xinhai, who was begging for mercy, and pulled the bow once again. Mu Xinhai, who was kneeling down, clenched his fists as he listened to the explosion behind him. Those arrows, although they didn't hit me, it was more painful than if they hit me. Enough. It was unknown where Mu Xinhai got the strength from, but he actually stood up. Because right now, there was only one battleship left. All the disciples on the battleship were crying. There was nothing they could do. They were killed by a woman just like that. There were 9 balls of flames burning on the ground. Those were 900,000 people. Originally, they came over happily and were prepared to kill in all directions. Now, they didn't even get down from the battleship. Furthermore, the enemies only appeared a little, and they died just like that. Unwillingness. Even dying under the blade of the enemy was better than dying like this. Stop killing. Mu Xinhai shouted angrily. Why? Brett asked indifferently. My life in exchange for the remaining 100,000 people. Mu Xinhai said solemnly. Brett slowly put down the mysterious moon. Then I can consider it. Mu Xinhai took a deep breath and turned to look at Fan Jin. Suddenly, he knew why Fan Jin had to run. Because these people weren't a match for him at all. They didn't even have the strength to resist. My decision was wrong. I implicated my own disciple. I am a failed manor master. A failed manor master. Mu Xinhai let out a long sigh. His right hand turned into a palm and fiercely slapped towards the top of his head. Bang! A shock wave instantly spread out. Mu Xinhai looked at the sky in a daze. My life actually fell in front of an empire. This was something I didn't expect. When Shi Yu saw Mu Xinhai commit suicide, his entire person was half dumbfounded. He had forced a Do Zun to death. He had never heard of it. Even a storyteller wouldn't make up such a ridiculous story. But today, it happened right in front of his eyes. Didn't this mean something? Xiang Liren sighed softly. Do Zun. In the Kangluo continent, he was a person of status. In order to save his disciple, Mu Xinhai chose to commit suicide. This courage was not something that ordinary people could do. Even if he couldn't do it, after all, his life was the most important. Today, he had a different view of Mu Xinhai. Fan Jin felt the same way. Looking at the fallen Mu Xinhai, he sighed in his heart. Don't blame me for not remembering our past relationship. My opponent was simply too strong, and I had no choice. If I had known that something like this would happen, I wouldn't have done anything about it. I would never have come. As Mu Xinhai's body collapsed, a small golden ball floated out. This was Mu Xinhai's primordial spirit. Brett said lightly, I've thought about it. After saying that, he raised his bow again. Mu Xinhai's primordial spirit roared angrily. You untrustworthy woman. You will go to hell after you die. Brett's arrow directly stopped Mu Xinhai's primordial spirit, and along with the last battleship, the battleship turned into flames. Meanwhile, there were still some battleships from small sects that were kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. Brett didn't say anything and just shot an arrow towards the sky. A perfect arc appeared, and the arrow could be seen turning into countless arrows in the sky, falling down with a terrifying aura. Everyone could see the arrowhead clearly. They watched it fall, and the sky suddenly burst with countless explosions. Out of the millions of people, only 3 were left. Fan Jin, Xiang Liren, and Shi Yu's faces were all tensed up. It was their turn now. Brett didn't say anything and continued to pull the bow. Looking at this scene, the 3 were so scared that they peed in their pants. Fan Jin's strength was the strongest, and thus, he was still able to finish his sentence. On the other hand, Xiang Liren and Shi Yu didn't even have the strength to speak. Senior. This is the spectator seats. We agreed that we wouldn't kill them. Fan Jin hurriedly explained. This is the spectator seats. Do you see that? The three big words are so obvious. Meow. At this moment, Ju Tian suddenly called out. Brett pouted his mouth, then turned his head around and kissed Ju Tian. Meanwhile, Ju Tian had a look of disgust on his face, as if Brett had dirted his fur. Since the three were going to stay, Brett didn't say anything. The profound rainbow-treasured moon that was in his hand disappeared, and Brett flew back towards the city gate and disappeared. Fan Jin and the other two let out a breath of relief. Although they didn't know why that woman suddenly stopped, it was still a good thing. In the end, they were still able to stay alive. Fan Jin sensed for a bit, and the spatial seal has already been released. This means that I can really leave now. However, Fan Jin looked towards Wuxia Empire, wanting to go in and take a look. Not only Fan Jin thought so, Xiang Liren and Sure Yu also thought so. However, they still don't dare to leave today. It wasn't easy for them to leave. What if they regret their decision later on? Therefore they have to leave right now. We will meet again in the future. Fan Jin cupped his hands and said, then immediately disappeared. Xiang Liren also didn't dare to stay any longer. Goodbye. After finished speaking, Xiang Liren left as well. Sure Yu stood at the scene by himself and went into a daze for a while, then ran away as well. Why would I dare to come to such a terrifying place? In the future, I won't come here even if I am beaten to death. 1,000,000 people came, and in the end, only 3 people were left. This was already the best result. Right now in the city, the streets were filled with people. The silver-winged snake was divided among the people in the city, and Lai Gu and Yu Hua were currently enjoying the meat. There was also Lai Gu and Yu Hua. However, Lai Gu had a stern face and had a look of hidden bitterness on his face. Everything was messed up by you guys. It was clearly I, Lai Gu, who discovered the silver-winged snake. You bunch of shameless people, especially Brett. To actually lie to me, shameless, to not even let me play with a piece of trash. You guys are simply too bad. The people in the city were completely not worried that someone would invade into the city, and they were happily eating the snake meat. The snake meat was truly too fragrant. This was the best food that they had ever eaten. Of course, it was the best food. After all, this was a battle emperor snake. Eating it would be extremely nourishing. Especially for ordinary people. After eating it, their lifespan would increase every year, and they would be immune to all kinds of diseases. Within the imperial palace, Yi Hua slowly opened his eyes, and Qing Yutong who was on his chest was actually drooling, and there was even a puddle of saliva on his chest. Qing Yutong. Yi Hua couldn't help but shout out. Qing Yutong didn't shout out, but instead, she woke up Qing Ya and Dong Huang Baiji who were beside her. Yi Hua, what happened? Qing Ya thought that something happened and hurriedly asked. End of chapter. Chapter 875. Look at your sister. Why is he the same as you? Yi Hua couldn't help but complain. I am a man who has mysophobia, and looking at the saliva on my chest, I am a bit dizzy. Qing Ya smiled helplessly, then poked Qing Yutong's head. Sob, sob, sob. In your head, quickly get up. Qing Ya shouted out. Qing Yutong touched onto her mouth. I'm so tired. Brother-in-law is too good at messing around, I can't take it anymore. Qing Yutong, look at what you have done. Yi Hua said gravely. Qing Yutong opened her beautiful eyes and secretly took a peek. Damn, what a big puddle of saliva. Brother-in-law doesn't seem to like this the most. Brother-in-law, how about I suck it away for you? Yi Hua was angered to the point of laughing. Qing Ya even reprimanded. Qing Yutong. Are you serious? Big sister, I was just joking. I will go and get something to wipe brother-in-law's saliva. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong ran down from the bed and took a towel to wipe Yi Hua's saliva. However, originally, it was only a puddle of dirt, but in the end, it became bigger and bigger after being rubbed by Qing Yutong. Brother-in-law. Brother-in-law. Let's talk things out, don't hit me. Qing Yutong hurriedly begged for forgiveness. Yi Hua held onto his forehead. Why did I end up with a sister-in-law like this? Go and prepare water for me to take a bath. Yi Hua didn't want to speak anymore. All right, Yutong didn't do it on purpose. Don't be angry anymore. As the elder sister, Qingye still had to speak up for her younger sister. Yi Hua waved his hand. Who asked me, the supreme overlord, to have such a bitter life? I married 3 goddess-like women. However, you all might not know this, but these 3 women even drool when they sleep at night. Luckily, it was not the 3 of us who were drooling at the same time. If such a thing were to happen here. After Yi Hua finished bathing, under the help of his 3 wives, Yi Hua put on the emperor robe. I'm a bit hungry. I want to eat a pancake today, the kind with eggs and ham. Yi Hua muttered, then pushed open the door of the palace. Master, Doji, who was standing outside, said respectfully. Towards Doji's loyalty, Yi Hua was also helpless. He told her to go back to her room to sleep, and even if he beat her to death, she wouldn't go back. It was as if someone could pose a threat to the main body. What are we eating this morning? Yi Hua asked curiously. Master, Blood Devil made snake soup. Snake soup? Yi Hua was very puzzled. Why did they suddenly start making snake soup? Suddenly, Yi Hua smelled a whiff of fragrance, and it smelled just like the smell of barbecued meat. Qingye, did you smell something? Yi Hua asked curiously. Qingye nodded her head. There seems to be the smell of barbecue, and it is rather fragrant. Who is barbecuing? Yi Hua immediately looked towards the city and saw a black thing lying on the street, and there were many people beside it. Without thinking too much, Yi Hua directly floated over. When Yi Hua saw the silver-winged serpent, his brows tightly wrinkled. When the people below saw a man who was dressed in an emperor's robe, they were first startled for a moment. Within Voidless Empire, who would be able to dress like this? That must be the emperor. Everyone kneeled down in joy and shouted, "My emperor! Hooray! Hooray! Long live!" Yi Hua lightly raised his hand, and everyone was lifted up by a formless power. Once again sensing the emperor's ability, the look of respect on Yi Hua's face became even heavier. Yi Hua floated towards the city gate tower, and when he saw the fire outside, his face immediately darkened. And Lai Gu, who was eating the snake meat, seemed to be able to sense it. You are finished. His honor is going to stew you later." Yi Hua poked onto Lai Gu's forehead. Lai Gu had a bitter look on his face as he hugged onto Yi Hua and sighed. "Yi Hua, save me. Apologize to his honor properly later," Yi Hua said with a slight smile. She looked at her flagmaster, who was still happily eating the snake meat. "Why am I so unlucky today? I got screwed by Qing Yutong in the morning. And the person that I called over to act cool is actually gone. I have already thought of how I will appear, and even my lines have already been thought of. I have already taken off half of my pants, and you show me this. Where are they? All of them are dead. If that is the case, why am I still acting cool? I took such a big detour. Didn't I just want to have some fun? Start the meeting." Yi Hua shouted out angrily in his heart, then disappeared from the city gate tower. If Fan Jin and the others didn't leave, they probably wouldn't be able to leave anymore. Yi Hua would probably have to use them as practice. Following Yi Hua's shout, all of Yi Hua's subordinates received the order. All of them stopped what they were doing and hurried towards the palace hall for the meeting. Even Qing Ya and the others received the order. They didn't understand why Yi Hua would fly into such a big temper. Inside the palace hall, Yi Hua's face was gloomy as he looked at all of his subordinates. However, all of the people who did bad things lowered their heads and remained silent. They clearly felt that his honor was going to fly into a rage, and it was the kind of rage that couldn't be appeased. "What happened outside? Who did it?" Yi Hua shouted out. All of Yi Hua's subordinates didn't dare to make a sound. Lai Gu felt that he didn't do anything at all and only watched a show. Therefore, he shouldn't be counted in. "All of you aren't saying anything, right? Seems like I have treated you all too well." As Yi Hua's wife, Qingye had to say something at this time. After all, as a husband and wife, one plays the bad cop and the other plays the good cop. "Yi Hua, calm down. Let them calm down. They were all frightened by you." "Humph." Yi Hua snorted coldly. He was a little tsundere. "All right, you all can quickly speak." Yi Zizi suddenly took a step forward and said honestly, "Your Honor, Lai Gu told me to go and fight." "Lai Gu? When did I, Lai Gu, tell you to go and fight? You were clearly the one who jumped down." You actually dare to say that to me? Yihua said gravely. Lai Gu, you actually hid it from me. Do you really think that I don't dare to stew you? Your Honor, please spare me. I didn't tell Yi Zizi to go, she went by herself. Lai Gu hurriedly pleaded. When his honor flies into a rage, everyone has to cower. Yihua understood Yi Zizi very well. Who else participated in it? All of you stand out. Kai Yun and Brett both stood out. Yihua didn't feel good. Such a good opportunity to act cool. You all enjoy it yourselves. Don't you know that this is an opportunity that I created? Don't you all know that a lot of brain cells have to die to create such an opportunity? The main point is, I even thought of the extravagance, but I didn't do it myself. Kai Yun hurriedly said, Your Honor, it was all Lai Gu. He was the one who told me to go, and he even told me not to tell Your Honor. Brett followed up and said, Kai Yun is right. Lai Gu said that this is a rare opportunity, and he wanted to do it himself. You all. It was clearly you all who wanted to play. I didn't even touch it. Your Honor, I have been wronged. Lai Gu had the heart to cry. After you all finished acting cool, you all still want me to be the scapegoat. You all can't be so shameless. Then, who was the one who discovered it first? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Everyone quietened down. Meanwhile, Lai Gu slowly raised his hand. Dong Huang Baiji smiled helplessly. Yihua shouted out angrily. Lai Gu, you actually dare to think of keeping it for yourself. End of this chapter. Chapter 876. Your Honor. I'm just afraid of disturbing your rest. Let me, your subordinate, take care of these small fries. There is no need for Your Honor's sacred body to appear, lest Your Honor's hands get dirty. Bullshit. You just want to take everything for yourself. Your Honor, it's not like that. We are all serving Your Honor. Lai Gu didn't even have the heart to die. If I am done acting cool, it would be worth it to be scolded, but I didn't do anything at all, and I am still being scolded. Yihua wouldn't really do anything to Lai Gu. After all, Lai Gu is my subordinate. I'll just scold him for him to remember. But, I still feel unhappy in my heart. When I was hugging my wife to sleep, those people came, and when I went out to take a look, there wasn't even a trace of them left. At this moment, Wei Chong stood out and said respectfully, Your Honor, Lai Gu was only trying to share Your Honor's burden, and his intention was good. Furthermore, Lai Gu didn't know of Your Honor's plan, so it's pardonable. I hope that Your Honor can quell your anger. Yuhua also pleaded for her man. Qingye smiled tenderly. Yihua, since Lai Gu knows his mistake, just let it go. Yihua snorted coldly. You can escape death, but you can't escape punishment. Hearing what his honor said, Lai Gu knew that he was going to be in trouble. But what else could he say? So today isn't a lucky day, but a calamity day. Yihua took a look at Yuhua. I finally know how to punish Lai Gu. Yuhua. Subordinate is here. Yuhua said respectfully. Lai Gu's heart immediately sunk. What is his honor trying to do? It can't be that he is venting his anger on Yuhua, right? Your Honor, it's all my fault. Don't punish Yuhua. Lai Gu hurriedly said. Yihua ignored Lai Gu and said gravely, Yuhua, for the next half a year, stay by Kai Yun's side. Lai Gu and Yuhua went into a daze. Not only Lai Gu and Yuhua, everyone else was stunned. This doesn't seem like a punishment, but to Lai Gu, this is simply a huge punishment. On the other hand, Kai Yun said happily, Thank you, Your Honor. Yuhua had a helpless look on her face. This move of his honor is truly ruthless. Lai Gu turned his head and pondered. It's all right. In any case, I'm already in Voidless Empire. What's there to be afraid of not being able to see Yuhua? Understood, Yuhua said respectfully. Yihua nodded his head and looked at Lai Gu. Do I still not know what you are thinking about? Do you think that it is that easy? Haha. You are looking down on me too much. Easy. Open clouds. Brett. Yihua shouted out coldly. The three of them stood up, bowed and said, Your subordinates are here. You guys attacked without my orders, messing up my plans. Tell me, how are you going to settle this? Yi Zizi's big eyes turned, then cupped his hands and said, Your Honor, Zizi is willing to create a new opportunity for Your Honor. Yi Zizi has become smarter, huh? Yi Zizi has become smarter. Yi Zizi just wanted to go out and play, so she seized this opportunity. Alright, the three of you. Just create another chance for me. If I can't do it, then don't come back. As for the others, stay back and guard Voidless Empire. Meeting adjourned. Yi Hua waved his hand, and his entire person disappeared from the throne. Qing Ya and Donghuang Baiji shook their heads. You're already a big boss, yet you're still acting so childish. Didn't I just tell you not to act cool? You're already taking out your anger on your subordinates. I reckon that later on, you're going to take out your anger on your wife. After Qing Ya and Donghuang Baiji left, Qing Yutong did not leave. Qing Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes towards Yi Zizi, and Yi Zizi's eyebrows twitched in response. However, at this moment, Lai Gu looked as if he was struck by lightning, and he stood on the spot stupidly. For his honor to let Yu Hua stay by Kai Yun's side, didn't that mean that wherever Kai Yun went, Yu Hua would go? Now that Kai Yun was going to head out, Moonlight would definitely have to follow him. Moreover, Kai Yun had just said that the others would all stay behind to guard the Voidless Empire. Wasn't this building for him? Other than Lai Gu being depressed, Brett was also very depressed. If I had known that such a thing would happen, I wouldn't have participated in it. Right now, I have to separate from absolute heaven. His honor's temper is still as bad as before. Yi Zizi suddenly held onto Kai Yun's shoulder. Let's form a group and go stir up some trouble, then let Voidless Empire be the scapegoat. Wow, good idea. It will definitely be fun. Kai Yun was also someone who loved to have fun, and the two belonged to the category of people who shared the same rotten tastes. Qing Yutong hurriedly walked over. How can I miss out on such a fun thing? Join the group. Agree to join the group. Yi Zizi grinned. Meanwhile, Kai Yun's smile was very naughty. Qing Yutong said towards Brett, join the group. What else could Brett say? Only by working together will we be able to quickly finish our task and return. Join the group. Yi Zizi choked. This old woman. Agreed. Yi Zizi said helplessly. Kai Yun was already impatient, and he said towards Yu Hua, let's go, we have to quickly complete his honor's mission. Yu Hua was helpless as she pulled Lai Gu up, then carried Lai Gu into her embrace and consoled him lightly. This scene caused all of Lai Gu's subordinates to be a little stupefied. It is very common for a man to carry a woman, but this is the first time I have seen a woman carrying a man. I immediately took a photo of this scene, so that I can tease Lai Gu in the future. Being hugged by your wife like this, where did your manliness go? Take good care of yourself. After I finish my task, I will come back and accompany you. Yu Hua said lightly as she pinched onto Lai Gu's nose. It's all my fault. Lai Gu sighed lightly. Acting cool. It's all good now. In the future, I won't act cool anymore. If there's anything, I will immediately report it to his honor without any delay. Yi Zizi and Kai Yun said at the same time, no, you didn't do anything wrong. Well done, Lai Gu. All of the benefits were taken away by you too, and I, Lai Gu. Fortunately, I still have 3 wives. I am really glad that I found a lot of wives back then. If not, I would have to masturbate to pass the time. Qing Yutong was already rubbing her palms together as she asked lightly, then when are we leaving? Nah. Yi Zizi and Kai Yun said at the same time. Brett said faintly, now where are we going? Do you have a plan? Yi Zizi snorted. When did we need a plan when we do things? What is a plan? Is it edible? What Yi Zizi said is very right. Kai Yun agreed with what Yi Zizi said. What plan do we need? We can just go wherever we want. Yu Hua said tenderly, Flagmaster, we need a good plan. How about we discuss about it today, and then we will leave tomorrow? We still have to wait until tomorrow, don't? Kai Yun was very obedient to Yu Hua's words, and only Yu Hua was able to move him. Qing Yutong, what are you standing there for? Come back. Qing Ya could be seen suddenly appearing and shouting towards Qing Yutong. Qing Yutong was depressed. If I had left just now, there wouldn't be any problems. But now, everything is fine. End of chapter. Chapter 877. Qing Yutong said softly. Then, let's gather tomorrow morning. You guys wait for me, remember. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong ran towards Qing Ya. Qing Yi knew what Qing Yutong was going to do. Qing Yutong definitely wanted to go out with Yi Zizi and the others to cause trouble. If Ye Hua were to find out about this, his butt would definitely be smacked badly. Yi Zizi and Kai Yun were very helpless. They could only wait until tomorrow before leaving. But at least they could go out now. In a high-class restaurant in the Voidless Empire, there sat a well-dressed man. His eyes were like torches, and his face was exceptionally stylish, as though it was the work of the gods. However, this man was actually holding onto a cup of scarlet red wine in his hand. If someone who knew what was good was here, they would definitely exclaim in shock. "Isn't this a goblet? Isn't that red wine inside?" The man looked below. Countless people were currently fighting over the snake meat to eat, but the man did not. He looked towards the palace and revealed excitement in his eyes as he muttered, "It has been 5 years. A whole 5 years. I finally found it." The man drank the cup of red wine fiercely, appearing to be exceptionally excited. He was called Yang Haotian. Back then, Ye Hua and Yi Zizi came here to fight, and after the fight, they went back. However, they caused Yang Haotian to suffer. Yang Haotian still remembered that day. When his red packet system gave him a notification, he immediately ran towards the destination. In the end, he did not even see a shadow, and the main mission of the red packet system froze from that day onwards. Furthermore, it froze for 5 years. I relied on doing side missions, and now, I am already a Dozun. If I could complete the main mission, I would at least be an overlord. Fortunately, a few months ago, his main mission finally responded. He rushed from the south to the north. The long journey even made him dizzy. After a period of observation, I have already confirmed it. The target is in the palace, a girl with 2 ponytails, and my red packet is stuck on her butt. As long as I remove the red packet on her butt, my mission will be completed. But from the looks of it now, that girl should be very strong. Not only that girl, everyone in the palace should be very strong, causing me to not make a move for a long time. I have been thinking about how to smoothly steal that girl's red packet, and the red packet is stuck on her butt. This red packet system is really a scam. But no matter what, he had to try tonight. At most, he could exchange for some items in the system, sneak in, and secretly remove the red packet before running away. No one would have guessed that it would happen without anyone noticing. Thinking of this, Yang Haotian made a decision. He could not continue waiting like this. Otherwise, his system would be crippled. Because he had completed all the side quests, if he didn't start the main quest, he wouldn't even be able to complete the side quests. Then his system would be a piece of scrap metal. That's why I must remove that little girl's butt. Oh, that's not it. It was a red packet on his buttocks. Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he would do it. Yang Haotian opened the system interface and looked at the remaining point certificates. He began to think about what kind of equipment he should buy in order to sneak in. However, he only had 7 points left. Yang Haotian propped himself up on the table and touched his chin. There was a little stubble on his chin. He had been too tired these few days. He didn't have that kind of invisibility magic treasure, so the inside of the palace was a tiger's den. If he was not careful, he would fall inside tonight. 7 point certificates. What can I buy with this amount of point certificates? I can't even afford to buy a single hair. Talking about sneaking into a scary place like the palace is simply wishful thinking. Suddenly, a bottle of spray appeared in the system interface. It was called deodorant. It only cost 5 points. Yang Haotian immediately opened the system interface and discovered that this deodorant seemed to be a little useful. It was able to get rid of any abnormal smell. It seems like other than this, I can't afford to buy anything else. After pondering for a while, Yang Haotian already made a decision. I'm going to treat a dead horse as a living horse. He directly used 5 point certificates to buy this bottle of deodorant. Then, he went to buy some tools and prepared for the operation at night. As the night approached, Yang Haotian felt a little restless. All the tools were already prepared. Now, he just had to wait for midnight. However, this period of time was the hardest to bear. Yang Haotian basically just walked back and forth. Right now, even though he was a Dozun, he was still trembling from nervousness. Because the inside of the palace was simply an abyss, and I am going to sneak in tonight and steal the red packet. This is simply a crazy idea. Could it be that I don't have any other choice? There doesn't seem to be any other choice. As the night approached, Wuxia Empire had already entered into silence, and the palace was the same as well. Right now, young Haotian was standing outside the walls of the palace with a roll of things in his hand. He was sneakily looking left and right, and with just a look, one could tell that he was here to be a thief. With a flip of his body, young Haotian entered into the palace. Just now, I nearly peed in my pants from fright. Luckily, I managed to enter. After entering the palace, young Haotian became even more nervous, fearing that there would be patrols coming over. However, here came the problem. This palace was not just an ordinary big palace, and the exact location of the palace was still unknown. Seems like I can only slowly explore it. It would be best if I get lucky tonight. If I don't get lucky, then I would be dead. In actuality, there were very few patrols in the palace, because there was basically no need for them. However, young Haotian couldn't use his cultivation technique because he would be discovered. If he were to be discovered, then he would really be done for, and not just faking it. Suddenly, young Haotian saw an unusual living being and got a huge shock. He hurriedly opened the treasure in his hand, then stuck his entire body onto the wall and raised both of his hands. A wallpaper that was exactly the same as the wall could be seen. The wallpaper stuck onto the wall and blended in very well. This was young Haotian's secret weapon. No choice, I am really too poor, and I can't think of any other way. I can only draw according to the walls of the palace, then spray deodorant on it. This is already the cheapest method. Hearing the light footsteps, young Haotian was currently trembling with fear. He tried his best to remain calm and not let the wallpaper tremble. However, why is the sound of the footsteps so strange? It seems to have 4 legs. It is indeed 4 legs, the husky Yun Lang. Yun Lang could be seen walking with cheerful steps. Upon thinking about how he was going to go out with his master to have fun tomorrow, he felt bursts of excitement, causing him to be unable to fall asleep right now. What is this smell? Why is it so smelly? Yun Lang sniffed. Why does it feel like there is a stench? Such a pungent stench. Yun Lang gradually walked towards young Haotian, and this caused young Haotian's heart to almost jump out. Please don't find me. ZZZZZZ. End of this chapter. Chapter 878. A strange sound rang out, and young Haotian smelled a foul smell. It was not a normal kind of pungent smell, and it even splattered onto his feet. Damn it, it's a dog. Yun Lang was indeed peeing, and after peeing, he even shook his body, and the expression on his face was really very comfortable. After he was done, Yun Lang gradually walked away. Young Haotian let out a breath. This deodorant is really quite effective, just that my feet. What kind of dog is this? Why is the smell so strong, too pungent? Just as young Haotian was preparing to move, he suddenly heard a conversation. He immediately pulled his feet up again and endured the pungent smell. Little brother, big brother didn't treat you badly tonight, right? Did you drink to your heart's content? Your mood is much better now, right? The people who came were precisely LV Liang and Yi Hong. Recently, Yi Hong's mood was a bit down. As for why he was down, it was because until now, he still hasn't gotten Zi Shan pregnant. Every time he saw Zi Shan's resentful gaze, Yi Hong would feel that he was sick, and that he needed to go to the male disease center to take a look. Burp, big brother. Do you think that there's something wrong with me? Yi Hong asked drunkenly while holding on to LV Liang. LV Liang consoled, little brother, just take it easy, which man doesn't have some sickness? I feel that I have prostate cancer. Young Haotian heard it, they actually know about prostate cancer, damn it. How is this possible? Big brother, I don't even dare to go back now. I feel that I have really let Zi Shan down. Even if she wants a child, I can't give it to her. Yi Hong sighed helplessly. As a man, I can't even satisfy such a small request of a woman. I feel guilty in my heart. LV Liang patted on the shoulder of his little brother and said carefully, don't have such thoughts. Maybe you are giving yourself too much pressure, causing the little tadpole to not be vigorous. Look at those 2 women at home. They are all letting nature take its course. Besides, it's not like you are the only one. Look at Do Fusher. Isn't he still the same after so many years? There's also Uncle Wei and Lai Gu. None of them got pregnant. How can a man get pregnant? Big brother, you must be mistaken. I am talking about their wives, burp. I want to pee. Big brother, I want to pee too. Why does it feel so pungent? Yunlang definitely peed everywhere. Yi Hong muttered. Come, let's pee together. Cover up Yunlang's pungent smell. Yang Haotian was speechless. Do you guys have to be so perverted, competing with a dog? Damn it, I still have the red envelope system. How could I end up like this? After being peed on by a dog, I was peed on by a human. Can't you just pick the other side? Why are you fighting with a dog? How can there be such a person? Listening to the approaching footsteps, Yang Haotian's face darkened. He could even imagine these two guys taking out their guns. He shot a stream of golden liquid at himself. F***CK. I, Yang Haotian, am the Red Envelope Emperor, and I've been peed on twice today. This was simply a humiliation. He had been humiliated twice. Shameless. God, do they have to draw circles when they pee? Are you guys painting? Big brother, are my eyes playing tricks on me? The color of the wall seems to be fading. Yi Hong rubbed his eyes and felt that the red paint on the wall was a little blurry. Let me see, haha. Seems like we drank too much. LV Shu laughed drunkenly. Yi Hong also grinned. The two of them peed for a full minute. Yang Haotian had endured the longest minute of his life. In the future, I will never do such a thing again. After peeing, the two brothers walked away while holding on to each other's shoulders. After the two left, Yang Haotian immediately threw away the drawing paper in his hand. This is so disgusting. Other than human pee, there is also dog pee. With such a smell mixed together, it simply makes me want to vomit. However, just as Yang Haotian was ridiculing, a voice suddenly rang out beside his ear. Little brother, I'll give you the money. You lose. LV Shu laughed foolishly. Yi Hong was helpless as he took out a few gold coins and said, This is all I have. All of them are being controlled by Zishan. Forget it. Who asked us to be brothers? Big brother will help you keep the rest of the money. LV Shu took away all of the gold coins, not leaving a single one behind. Yang Haotian just looked at the two of them. They actually discovered me? How is this possible? At this time, Yunlang also walked back. That arrogant gaze of his seemed to be saying, Little brat, you still want to trick me with such insignificant tricks? Look at my sharp gaze, that is the legend of hungry wolves. Do you know what hungry wolves are? That kind of very hungry wolf. I reckon that you have never seen those fierce eyes of a hungry wolf before, right? Looking at the two people and one dog, Yang Haotian felt that he had been tricked, and a monstrous rage gathered within his mind. I am the emperor. As the owner of the red packet system, when have I ever suffered such humiliation before? This is simply humiliation. He seems to be very angry. Yi Hong said in a low voice. LV Shu nodded her head and said in a low voice, If you were peed on twice, you would also be this angry. What you said seems to be very reasonable. Yang Haotian did not retreat, instead, he advanced towards the green and red brothers. He discovered that the way they dressed up was very strange. Why does it seem a bit like the non-mainstream? But when he took a closer look, it doesn't seem that way anymore. Just like that green hair, why does he look like a clown? It is that clown from Batman, the very handsome one, and his hairstyle is exactly the same. As for that red hair, I won't comment anymore. But right now, I, Yang Haotian, am going to seek justice for myself. This is the dignity of a man, therefore, I have to get back my face. Today, I will let them experience the power of me, the Red Packet Emperor. I will let you all know what is called high-end operation. Plop. Yang Haotian directly kneeled down and shouted out, Big brother, please spare me. LV Shu, Yi Hong. Even Erha had a stupefied look on his face. Just a moment ago, the two of them were so imposing, and it was as if they were going to start a fight at any moment of disagreement. But in the end, the moment they walked over, the two of them actually kneeled down. I have never seen such an operation before. The green and red brothers were simply flabbergasted from head to toe. Big brother, what do we do? Just a moment ago, Yi Hong was prepared to fight, but in the end, this fellow directly kneeled down. Even LV Shu was a bit unable to withstand it. This kneel was simply world-shaking. The atmosphere just a moment ago was so heavy, and it was as if both of them were going to perish together. But in the end, after this kneel, the atmosphere that was created instantly disappeared. What is this? Can you not be more careful? Can you not operate it like this? It is full of tricks. Big brother, I didn't sneak in on purpose. I really have an urgent matter to attend to. You all have to believe me. I also have no other choice. Yang Haotian began to plead painfully. After observing, he discovered that none of the people here could be provoked, and fighting with them was completely the same as seeking death. In the new year, I wish everyone to become rich, lose weight, and have a lot of girlfriends. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.